a bye week and a bye we could all use. Doesn't mean it's not busy. It is busy with news that affects the world of college football and plenty of things that actually affect Florida State football. We wish DJ Lundy well. Kind of stinks to hear that he's out for the year for the young man. I hate it. Obviously, I've been critical of him as a player, but I never want to see anybody get hurt, and I certainly would not like to see a career in that way, which he's a senior and a redshirt senior at that, so that's that. DJ, we'll always remember him for his role as a fullback a couple seasons ago, and we'll remember that when he was in the right hole, he was pretty good against the run. But I wish him well. I do.
Maybe in a 3rd and goal and a 4th and goal in Dallas, Texas, a little DJ Lundy would have been a good idea. Leading the way. Little DJ Lundy paving the way. He seemed to embrace that role in his career.
Did you see there have been a couple of instances, I forget which game I was watching, college football game. They had a lineman, an offensive lineman in the slot go in motion. It was fantastic. Absolutely tattooed the end after the ball was snapped. He went in motion, crossed the face of the quarterback, ball snapped, and just pancaked this end at 300 and something pounds. It was hilarious. Also, I would note, I don't know if you saw this, speaking of good ideas, and we've talked a lot about what seems to be a lack of creativity this year from Mike, which was his calling card, and how frustrating it is that you haven't seen that much this year, and we were trying to guess to the reasons why. But you know what I saw Andy Reid do the other night? Now, again, Andy Reid is arguably the best play caller in football, so it's maybe an unfair comparison.
And most creative play designer.
Unreal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they were in 12 personnel, then they were in 13 personnel, so that's 3 tight ends, and then they were in 14 personnel. I went and looked it up. I thought, that can't be. I've never seen 14 personnel before. I've never seen it. I know maybe in old-timey football, like back in the day, maybe way back in the day, I'm sure if we were talking to Bill Belichick, he'd be like, oh, yeah, well, 14 personnel was a mainstay in 1952. But, he would probably do it. But I went and looked it up to see if I was wrong about that, because I was like, those are 4 tight ends. That's 4 tight ends. Not only did he have that, I was right. He ran it several times. It wasn't just the few that I noticed it. He did it like 7 or 8 times in the game the other night because he hates the receivers. And so he's like, well, screw it. If I don't have any receivers, we're going to have 4 tight ends out here. But not just that. It's not just that he ran 14 personnel. He made me laugh. Like several times he had Mahomes throwing the ball. One of those guys, one of the tight ends that was on the field, in the article I read, hadn't played football in 2 years. He was out of the league. They brought him in that week. He caught a pass. This is who does that? That's insane.
Well, what am I going to do? Throw it to Justin Watson instead? Give me the guy off the street. I want the guy off the street.
Oh, man. It was so impressive.
And something's happening here, though, and we talked about this last week from the defensive line perspective. Seeing 300-pounders put in more athletic situations, like rushing the passer at wide 9, putting them in a defensive end role, lining them up out there, not for a stunt or a twist, just like straight up they're going to rush them against the defensive end. Offensive linemen being used more in these weird spots. It's been in vogue the last 10 years to maybe bring in one of your top defensive tackles as a lead blocker in a goal line set. We've done that. Clemson's done that a bunch. I think Christian Watkins did that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, though. These 280 to 310 pounders are starting to be deployed in much more athletic ways.
Well, the dude who recovered the deflected ball, the interception / fumble-ish thing in the Saints-Chiefs game on Monday night, he had just made the tackle against Kelsey down on the goal line, a shovel pass. He destroyed Kelsey, which was fun to see. And then on the very next play, the ball gets tipped, and he picks it off in the end zone, and he makes what at the time looked like a disastrous decision to take it out of the end zone. And you're watching that going, oh, come on, fatty, what are you doing? Be happy you got a pick. That's pretty amazing. He returned it 35 yards and had some wheels. His fat ass was rolling. And Bucket Aikman,
That's right. That's right.
We're commenting on his wheels. They looked it up. I got to give them credit. This is good broadcasting. They went and looked it up, I guess, during the commercial break. He had been a running back in high school. So that former running back, now a 320-pound defensive lineman, had a little giddy up to him.
A lot of these guys do. Sometimes they're converted tight ends. We had a couple offensive linemen that are pretty famous around these parts that were converted tight ends, and they ended up becoming great offensive linemen. I know that when I played with my buddy who went down south to play for one of our rivals after I went to high school with him, he was one of the most athletic people in our pickup
And then
games.
he got gigantic. Yeah.
And he had to. The body morphing, the transformation. Yeah. But, man, these jumbo athletes, they are actually kind of athletes that, a lot of teams have them. I don't know that we do, but many teams.
Oh, no, I don't think
them.
we have them. I have not seen any here.
Except for Farmer. He lined up out wide a couple times this year.
He did. He wasn't exactly explosive off the edge.
He's got quicks. He's not explosive, but he's got quicks.
I don't know, man. We'll see. Hey, congratulations on your Mets.
Well, yes.
Can't do anything wrong right now. This team is dominant.
It was a great Game 3 win.
Dominant. It was a rocking chair game.
It kind of was, but they had the tying run on deck in the 8th inning because, the way this series has gone, you don't feel safe at any point, even with the 6-2 lead and 2 outs and 2 on. But, yeah, nice win. Nice win. Would really like to not have the ball in Zach Wheeler's hands on Friday, so got a big one today.
Yeah, a little 7-2, Tommy, is a rocking chair game. Relax, buddy. You got to Nola. Which I thought advantaged Phillies when they saved him for Game 3 and split with you guys. I was like, oh, this is advantage Philadelphia. And you tattooed his ass.
Well, the thing, this is where familiarity sometimes breeds productivity.
Yeah.
The Mets are 14-3 against Wheeler and Nola in the last 17 games they faced them.
Ownership.
Now, that doesn't mean they score against those guys. Like, the other night it was
find ways to win.
Wheeler was dominant for 7 innings, but this has been a real pleasure. It's been a hell of a run. As long as it goes, I'm just every day fired up to go watch them play.
The Mets are emblematic of yesterday's winner, Sean Manaea, who's 32 years old and was basically not any good anymore. And then just completely changed everything he does and is having the best season of his career. And you just happen to stumble into the Sean Manaea transformation, which is crazy. He's like, I don't even throw this pitch, but I'm going to start. And I'm also going to throw across my body. And I'm going to emulate Chris Sale because I'm pretty much out of the league. Oh, look at this. I'm good. I should have just been copying Chris Sale all along. That's crazy. I wish it were that simple. Like, I'd like to stand next to, I don't know, Rory McIlroy. Be like, I'm just going to copy Rory McIlroy. And then I'm out here shooting 66 with you in Cap City. And you're like, what'd you do? I just started copying Rory. It's amazing.
Yeah, I wanted to try that earlier in life, and it failed miserably. I was 13 years old. I was on my way to mid-single digits handicap. I tried to emulate Adam Scott's swing, and a year and a half later, I was lost. Just out in the woods.
Yeah, you can't be who you're not, buddy.
That's correct. Unless you're Sean Manaea.
Unless you're Sean Manaea.
He's going to change his name to Sean Manaea Sale. He's going to add a hyphen to it.
He should cut a check to Chris Sale. Be like, hey, buddy, thanks so much for letting me stand next to you. This is amazing. So the news of the day regarding Florida State was, in fact, that obviously DJ Lundy's gone. Now, that will not affect this team very much. The group that's playing at linebacker right now, first of all, I really like when Cam Riley's out there. He's a nice player. I've enjoyed watching him play.
Wish he had one more year.
Me too.
Behind this one.
Me too. Yeah, he's a nice player. But you're rotating the guys, whether it be him or Cryer. Obviously, we're seeing a lot of Nicholson. And then you see some Omar Graham as well.
Most snaps in the game for any linebacker last week.
I was going to keep going, Tom. I was just going to keep on talking.
By a significant margin.
I understand. I was going to keep talking. I can't get bogged down as I do in the linebacker stew that it drives me. It derails the show, Tom. So I'm just going to keep going and mention that's the group, short of one other guy that I expect to see moving forward. They were already kind of getting that playing time, so that's fine. None of that will really matter if, frankly, none of it matters if you can't block. I'll take it to the other side of the ball. None of this matters if you can't block. And we didn't talk yesterday, you and I, because it was headlines day, but Mike did, and he said that, they're open to changes. They're open to, moving on. He said he liked what he saw in the young guys. That even included Brock Glenn. He complimented Brock Glenn for the first time ever.
Oh, my stars.
And said he loved his energy. He thought he cut it loose and let it rip. He said all those things, right? He was cutting it loose and letting it rip and played with great energy. There you go, Mike.
Reckless abandon.
Yeah.
Put loose.
So, I was happy to hear that. I was happy to see that the film revealed that to him, and that, maybe first blush, he didn't realize it, but we all did. We all saw it and said, this is better. This is a lot better. Should have done this before. Should have done this a long time before now. But anyhow, that's where we're at. And so you go to the bye week and you figure some things out about what he wants to do. And maybe we see a better product moving forward. It won't be good. They're not going to be good, but they could be better. And obviously they could be better in the run game. And he addressed that too and talked about maybe some personnel needs to change. Basically, that's a threat to the veteran players who he pointed out continue to make the same mistakes. That was, I believe he said that the quote unquote, there have been reoccurring issues. There have been reoccurring issues and with veteran players.
Well, yeah, it's a good thing we're only halfway through the season.
Reoccurring issues, Tom. He's addressing them now this bye week. Here we go. That's what we got. That's he knew early in the year that there were issues. We used it as a bite.
There have been
there it is.
Issues.
Yeah. He knew there were issues early in the year. Now we got to find the one. Maybe we'll cut it up after the show. Reoccurring issues. You can put it right next to the issues.
There have been issues.
There is a gap there. It's almost like he knew that there was going to be, it's like a Mad Lib. He knew that there was going to be a word that gets dropped in there.
I just like that you can hear him thinking with the long pause. Like, how do I say this without just ripping this kid?
There have been issues.
That's so good. Just the pause, because he's about to say it, and then his brain says, "Don't do that. Just call them issues. Just be vague. Just sort of nondescript. Just issues. Just a blanket term of issues." Yeah.
There have been issues.
Speaking of which, and in a second, I want to go over this because I've seen it posted several places on the interwebs. I'm sure it's been discussed amongst Florida State faithful, but it's not applicable, and it doesn't make any sense that it's being used in this manner. It was something that Nick Saban said on the set of Game Day right after they showed Florida State's woeful season up to this point, and they began to talk about coaching and the problems and all of this, and then Nick shared an anecdote, which I thought was fine from an experienced coach like himself and a successful coach like himself, talking about being at the crossroads in his coaching career and making a choice, making a decision to change the way that he coached. It was personal to him. It is not applicable to Florida State. It was not, I don't think, meant for Florida State, although they tried to juxtapose it to the highlight reels of Florida State. It was a reach, and I'll tell you what it was in a second. Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
I'm attorney Carrie Roan with Basic Brooks Law Offices, and we believe you. Now, what does that mean? Over and over, we hear from the people that we represent that when they share their story of how they were injured, either law enforcement, insurance companies, or business owners didn't believe their story. That's why you need an attorney who has your back no matter what. An attorney who starts by believing that you're telling the truth. We are Basic Brooks, and we believe you. Let's talk. 850-777-7777.
Pinch A Penny Pools has the largest selection of premium hot springs hot tubs in the city. You might even call it Tallahassee's Hot Tub Hub. 12,000 square feet of hot tubs, with over 50 of them on site. Over 20,000 gallons of tub capacity to choose from. That's 4,620,000 cubic inches of hot tubs. But I digress. So why should you own a hot tub from Pinch A Penny Pools and Spas, you might ask? Well, I'll tell you. Number one, health benefits, of course. The healing powers of soaking in a hot bubbling pool of water go back centuries. Google it. Number two, Pinch A Penny has hot tubs with technology called Freshwater IQ. It gives you real-time chemical readings and tells you exactly what to add to keep the water at peak perfection, with automated analysis to help you control the chlorine and pH. It's hot tubs for dummies. Sign me up. Number three, they have the best prices, of course. Plus, you get a free accessory and no interest financing. Easy peasy. But if you don't want to take my word for it, check them out yourself. Pinch A Penny Pools and Spas. Locally owned, locally operated, and the easiest way to find relaxation at home.
AC and electric is what we do. Service repairs and installation too. 222-7722.
The team at Parker Services is growing, and they have immediate openings for talented people. If you have experience in the air conditioning or electrical fields and share their values of honesty, empathy, loyalty, and professionalism, you can have a great career at Parker Services Air Conditioning and Electrical. Qualified candidates will be hired at a minimum of $25 per hour, depending on experience and qualifications. They have competitive benefits, including 401k matching, health insurance, and paid time off. Call or visit their website, TallahasseeAC.com, to apply today. CMC 050334 and EC 1301240.
Surprising flavors, cultural authenticity, and unique adventures are some of the main ingredients that go into every single plate served at Café de Martin, Tallahassee's best Peruvian dining experience. Led by classically trained Chef Martin, passion for culture, passion for flavor, and a passion for people can be felt from the moment you step inside. Café de Martin also offers an unparalleled outdoor dining experience in the garden. Surrounded by vibrant flowers and plants and nestled between carefully curated decor, the shaded and breezy outdoor garden features elegant live music regularly, and the romantic evening lighting makes Café de Martin the best place to share conversation and connect with the ones you love. Every dish is made from scratch, and every drink is handmade by trained bartenders, offering the very best margaritas and old fashions in the city. Take a trip to a Peruvian paradise right here in the capital city. Visit Café de Martin and El Bar on Capital Circle Northeast in the Esposito Shopping Center. Open daily for lunch, happy hour, and dinner. Find the full menu online at cafedemartin.com.
Science-backed, technology-tracked, and coach-led. Hey, Jeff Cameron here. You've heard me rave about the benefits of Orange Theory Fitness and the proven track record of science-backed interval training. Well, now Orange Theory Fitness has done it again, adding more ways for you to improve your health and look your best. In addition to the always great standard workouts, OTF has added Tread 50 and Strength 50 for those in the mood to just lift for an afternoon or attack those cardio goals for the day. Take the guesswork out of exercise. Make sure you're getting the most out of each and every workout. Orange Theory Fitness, location Midtown Tallahassee and Village Square Boulevard.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
Yeah, just a reminder for the radio audience that couldn't see a moment ago, if you want to go to the Florida State Notre Dame game, the best way to go about doing that is certainly to look it up, spiritexpress.com. Go there and get on the bus, baby. Get on the bus. It's a party bus. It's fun. Windy City Seminole Club will be there. Cold drinks, warm drinks, hot toddies, Tom.
That's a good idea. Right now.
Little hot toddy. And they take you right into South Bend from Chicago. You'll grill, you'll eat, you'll chill, you'll have a good time. You might even do shots. I don't know. Promo code WARCHANT at spiritexpress.com. Promo code WARCHANT at spiritexpress.com for 20% off, right? Boom.
It's an early bird special. I don't know if it's exactly 20% off, but
there's
yes,
some sort of special, guys.
It's a good
type
special.
it in. Yeah.
They also have tailgate only passes. So in case,
oh yeah, you don't even want to if you don't want to get on the party bus.
If you're in Indianapolis or you're in a different part and you're driving over to South Bend that way, that's how you do it.
All right. So I was talking a moment ago about this past game day in which Nick Saban was on the set, and they showed a highlight reel of obviously bad football because it was Florida State football, and right now it's bad. So any highlight of Florida State football falls under the category of bad football.
Is it a highlight? Is that like
a low light?
Regression to the mean can be an improvement or, doing worse.
So when they did that, then they had, the sage wisdom of Coach Saban talking about his own career. And it was then extrapolated by many people to mean that he was addressing Florida State. And in fairness, ESPN kind of set it up that way. But it was not. It was just an anecdote about what changed his career. This is what he said, and I'll tell you why it's not applicable at all to Mike Norvell and Florida State. Quote, I think you have a greater chance of losing your team when you're a transactional leader, which is the way that I was until 1998. In other words, everything was about winning or losing. When we won, I patted some people on the back, but when we didn't win, I was probably too harsh and didn't use it as a teaching moment. And I'll tell you, negative experiences without teaching kills morale. Now, he's right about that. I think he's right. He's usually right when it comes to business or wisdom or leadership or those kinds of things. He's good at it. And that's what he said. And then he went on to say that, here's the story. This is the anecdote. We were getting set to play when I was at Michigan State, Ohio State. And we had lost 3 in a row, and I didn't think we had any chance to win, which I appreciated that he was honest about that. And he needed to change his approach, and he decided that this was the week to do it. And at that point in his career at Michigan State, I think he was 12 games over 500, something like 34-22 was the graphic they flashed. So not good. Not good. That's not going to get it done. He thought they were on the cusp of firing him. Desperate times, desperate measures, voila. Transformation for Nick Saban. He said, I had to change into being a transformational leader instead of a transactional leader. Somebody who players could emulate, who cared about the players for their benefit, not just my benefit, and to try to have a vision for what we were going to accomplish and how we were going to do it together, and maybe have value-based principles that were going to help them down the road, be successful in life. This is what I chose to bring in. Okay, you want all coaches to do that. Not all coaches do that. And I do think it is really important. I've had coaches that just yell to yell, scream at you when you did something wrong, never tell you good job when you do it right, never come over to explain to you why it was wrong, just yell like, you're in the wrong spot, Cameron, what the hell? And then you're standing like, somebody going to tell me why I did this wrong or what I need to do different? So you do have to coach a little differently if you're only a transactional guy and not a transformational leader. But the reason it's not applicable to Mike Norvell and why it doesn't apply to this situation at Florida State in this 1-5 season is that Mike's strength as a coach has always been as a transformational leader. It has always been that the players can tell he cares deeply about them. They've told us that. That's how I know it. It isn't that I observe it and that's my opinion. It's that the players who've gone on from here after having been coached by Mike, just as they did at Memphis, including a former player that reached out to me when we hired Mike, who played for Mike at Memphis and talked about his number one quality being that guys will play for him because they know he cares about them and that it's not just about winning and losing. Winning and losing is why you're paid a lot of money. That's why you're here, to win games. How you get that out of them, well, there's a lot of methods. Some work, some don't, but it has to be you. It, in essence, has to be you. That's every bit of leadership that I understand. And that is, if you're not yourself, people will see through it immediately. That's doing a show. That's having a conversation. That's anything. If you're trying to be something you're not, kids see through it right away, and they tune you out. They don't play for you in that situation because they think you're fake. Mike has never been that guy. He has always been a guy that would yell at a player and then turn right around and put his arm around him later in the practice and explain what it was he was so mad about or why he's yelling. You know, the old adage being, if you're not being yelled at is when you should get worried. Coaches who are not yelling at you don't think you can do anything for them. They don't think you can play. You're not worth their time to correct because they're never going to play you. If you're being yelled at, that's a good thing. They see something in you. They want more out of you. They think you're capable of more. They want you to do it right because they're going to plan to use you, your athleticism, whatever it is, right? So you want to be yelled at, but you do want that instruction. You do want to know how it should be done, why you're doing it. I mean, some people want more information than others. It's just like the golf swing. People will tell you some want all the information as to the hows and whys of the club face and where it is and why and at what point in the swing. Others don't want any of that. It's too much information. See ball, hit ball. Everybody's different. Manny Ramirez, as you recall, oftentimes would get asked after hitting a titanic home run, a blast of prodigious nature, 470 feet and coming to the dugout. What'd you hit? I don't know. Just saw it was kind of in the middle of the plate and I swung out of my shoes. Okay. You don't know if that was a slider or a fastball, a changeup? No idea.
I know that I pissed on it.
and stood there and looked at it for an hour, but I know I got it. Others, they can tell you exactly what it was and why, and everything else about the at-bat, everything that happened before that pitch and why he was sitting on it, all of it. You just have to be you, and he's always been this way about players. Now, there are a lot of other issues and criticisms to be lobbed these days at Mike Norvell. But it's not because he is solely a transactional leader and not a transformational leader. I mean, player after player after player has talked about the way that Mike embraces his players, the way that Mike approaches their interactions. Mike will scream you down. Mike will get after you. I've watched Mike go ballistic on players before. I've even thought a couple times Mike crossed the line where Mike was, it almost felt personal, was really angry at a player and said some things in practice that I thought, oof, I'm getting a little uncomfortable, and I do not get uncomfortable easy. Bad words don't scare me. I'm not one of these overly sensitive types. But there have been moments where you're like, ooh, man, I don't know. You might get hit. and then, usually within the same practice or the next one, you watch as Mike corrects it and explains what that was all about.
It all goes back to when Florida State was 0-4. And remember that Memphis players reached out to Florida State players on social media for the world to see. At the time, it was twitter.com. But you saw Memphis players saying, hey, guys, just listen to what Coach was telling you. It's going to work. Like, it's going to make you better. And that was an indicator of how healthy the program was where he came from. And then flash forward all the way to this offseason, you got guys on that defensive front, maybe a guy that's been under some criticism for a lack of consistency, tweeting things like, at Coach Norvell, you changed my life. Thank you for changing my life.
That's right.
Right. Not, hey, thanks for giving me that playing time, boss. You know what I mean?
Right,
like, thanks for giving me, thanks for giving me some chance to, you changed my life. So maybe he needs to be more of a transactional leader. Maybe he needs to be more cutthroat. I don't know. There's always a balancing act, right?
I think there is. I think, look, it's a meritocracy in football. It ought to be anyhow. If you play well and you earn the playing time, you get on the field. If you don't, you don't. And that's the end of the story. It doesn't have to be personal, but coaching does, to a certain degree, have to be, or very much be, about the relationships you're forging. Not everybody can be coached the same way, too. And most good coaches, I've done a little coaching, they pick up on it pretty early on in a player's time with them. Oh, I can go at this kid this way. It's really the only way he listens. I can't go at this kid that way. He'll shut me out. He doesn't listen that way. He doesn't hear me when I'm overly critical or overly intense in my instruction. He needs to be pulled aside and spoken to sternly, nonetheless, but spoken to in a different way.
Well, it's the same thing as managing. You know, if you manage different personalities, the strangest thing in the world is there are some personalities that you can hand them the exact rubric of what to do, how to do it, the time to do it, and that makes them worse at their job. You're like, what?
Yeah.
I just gave you all the answers.
Yeah.
If you leave something to mystery, then that motivates them because they're trying to hunt something down rather than execute something that's before them formulaically. So that's what Mike has been able to show that he's been able to do consistently for, 10, 15 years now, from a position coach all the way to head coach. He can take the temperature properly. But what's interesting is this season, there are so many indicators that those skills have met a disconnect of some kind. And that's the wild thing, from the evaluation before the season to the adjustments from week to week, or lack thereof, offensively. Like, he's talking about now that we're open to changing schematically what we're going to do on the ground. Well, the season's halfway over. You've won one time. Like, now? I mean, I'm glad you're doing it at all, but now?
I'm not going to criticize today his willingness to move on from things that aren't working, because he's finally doing what we said he should do. I would have liked to have seen a little better sense of urgency. Yesterday when I brought this up, Ira said, look, he was going to give veterans a lot of opportunities. Guys that had played well in the past for you were afforded more opportunities. So when he's critical of this offensive line, he's, Ira's point was that he thought that Mike gave them a long leash because they had done it in the past.
Right, but is that meritocracy? Because at some point, meritocracy works the other way. You can earn a spot on the field because in practice you're kicking butt.
Yeah.
Or you could lose it because when you're in the game,
you're
showing me you're incapable of processing the basics.
Yeah.
And that's where they were kind of slow. Well, not kind of. They were DJ on 4th and goal slow to react to it. Man, you are seeing, this is BC. This is Memphis. How much more information do you need?
Vic wrote, Jeff, that sounds like a great way to coach. So what happened? Yeah, no, his problems, and this year we've all taken shots at what we think these problems are. I just wanted to point out, they're not what Nick Saban was talking about. And I don't blame Nick. Nick gave an anecdote based on his coaching experience when he had to make changes in the midst of a lost season. They were talking to him about Florida State's lost season, 1-5. Has he lost the team? What happens? And he said, well, you could lose the team if. I'll tell you this one time I was at Michigan State. And then he proceeded to tell the story about how he was almost fired there, decided to make changes out of desperation before playing Ohio State. They actually won that game, by the way. And then it changed his coaching career. He won 85% of the games he coached from that point forward. And he just was giving that as an anecdote from his experiences. But you can have bad years for lots of reasons, and it doesn't have to be your overriding coaching philosophy as to how to reach and interact with kids. He obviously misevaluated a lot of things coming into this season.
So here's a question from Keith in the chat that's related to this. He says, wouldn't you say that living off the transfer portal is transactional? Maybe that's where Nick is coming from, because he views the transfer portal as this evil thing. Like,
except
clearly,
for Alabama utilized the transfer portal as well.
But that's his thing. And I think he still has sour grapes about the method or whatever happened behind the scenes when FSU poached 5 players from Alabama. Because he made a comment about this a couple of weeks earlier on game day, and he was saying that the guys are in the portal for a reason. It's like, man, what is personally bothering you?
Oh, I think a lot of veteran coaches do not love the portal. I don't know. I don't even know. Let me say this. I'm not real sure that Mike loves the portal. He used it as a means to an end. Right about now, he probably didn't love the portal.
Well, look, he got $10 million because of the portal. If it's not for the portal, he's not making $10 million a year.
But he doesn't go to bed at night go, oh, I love you, portal. I just think that, look, it was a means to an end, but you would rather not have to do that.
He bought a teddy bear and he named it Portal.
Yeah, that's the name of his dog. It's my dog, Portal. But no, I
this
think
is how I call him.
No, I think in terms of listen, they got to get better at recruiting both in the portal and out of it in the prep ranks. And we all know about where they have failed in high school. But I'll give you a good example from this year, this offseason. Nick Scorton is the kid at the defensive end at Texas A&M that's whooping ass. He was ours. We had him. Hook, line, and sinker. He was done. It was agreed upon. All of it.
He went but he ended up visiting A&M first. Like, what happened there?
We blew it.
Oh.
Our coaching staff blew it. Somehow they didn't land the plane. This was done. You look at that Carter Smith kid, the offensive lineman for Indiana, the tackle. Some say he's the best tackle in the Big Ten. He's kicking ass on an undefeated Indiana team. Came here, wanted to come here, was going to come here. He's a redshirt sophomore. You would have had him for multiple years. He was all but delivered. We were good to go. Somehow, something in that interaction didn't work out. I mean, these are guys you got to get. These are you had an upper crust defensive end in your midst, wanted to come here, ends up at Texas A&M.
Well, they pay more?
No. It wasn't about the money. They did not pay more.
You sure about that?
Yes, I am. So, damn it, man. You whiffed in a lot of ways. You whiffed on some portal guys, and you whiffed on, you didn't get enough of the good upper crust 5-star players from high school. That's been year over year. And the reason that we go on these diatribes every day about feeling a level of angst and consternation, the constant wringing of the hands, is because we're thinking out loud. Hey, if you can't recruit a top 10 class after going 13-0, when the hell are you going to? And what happens when you suck like this year?
Yeah, agreed. That talking point I always balk at, because this was the payoff year. All you needed to do was not suck to high heaven, and you would have signed something in the top 10. This year, there's the lag effect, because 10-3 was still negatively recruited because you lost to 3 good teams, and you hadn't proven it for multiple years. So you might have been able to close a little stronger at 13-0, but you weren't going to sign a revolutionary top 5 class. That was coming this year. All you had to do this year
was not do this.
And let's just say that you didn't dip into the portal and you went down the path of Tate versus Brock versus Luke in the spring? Because Tate would have stayed if you didn't bring DJU and Cam Ward in on visits.
Maybe. I'm not sure. Tate wasn't any good anyhow. Andy sucks this year where Southern Miss or wherever.
But the point is that the moment that you brought those guys on campus, he's like, all right, I'm out. But if you project forward and you say that it was Tate versus those two other guys in spring practice, you're also dictating to kids, to the fan base, hey, we're retooling on the fly. Watch these young kids that we've recruited fail and then grow stronger from the failures towards 8 wins or 9 wins. If you did that, simply doing that off of 13-0 and 19 straight, you close a top 10 class this year, 100%. The only thing that you couldn't do is be 1-5 at the bye week, which is what we are.
Good chance, good shot. I was going to say shot and chance. That could have been disastrous, but good chance that Florida State beats Duke, buddy. So that I'm not proclaiming like I did when we lost 3 straight. Remember when we lost 3 straight and I came on the air and told everybody we would win every remaining game, and we did?
Yeah,
I did do that. Yeah.
Okay, doing that again, are we?
No, I'm not. But there's a good chance to beat Duke, though.
7-5, I heard you.
The code is Jeff25. You want to use this code if you go and get what I think you ought to do. And we've been talking about this for some time now, but DEXA scan from DEXA-Fit is what I'm referencing. And you want to know things like your resting metabolic rate. You want to know the areas where you're strong and have lean muscle, and areas where, the bad fat is living. And you got to get rid of that visceral fat, guys. A DEXA scan will let you know the body composition, where to attack, what to do. Even within your own personal workouts, you can continue to go to like an Orange Theory or whatever it is you're doing and utilize their system to work smarter, not harder on your health. But let's use this code so you can save money too. Speaking of, being smarter, Jeff25. DEXA-Fit, by the way, is located right over there next to Bumpus. You could go get a DEXA scan or red light therapy or whatever you want to do over there, right? And then go on into Bumpus and
get Uncle Sal.
Yeah, delicious. So Greg Sankey and Tony Petitti are meeting today and tomorrow in Nashville. And they stroke their little thin mustaches and giggle at the rest of the world.
Okay.
Okay. And they're in Nashville, which is a fun town. They're really rich and very powerful. So let's see if we can get cameras in Nashville, because usually rich, powerful people together in Nashville away from their wives, crazy things. Who knows?
We wanted to take pictures.
We need to get dirt on these individuals. But more importantly, they're discussing the future of the sport and what that means. I'll marry that with something we learned yesterday, thanks to our friends at Yahoo Sports. It's big comings and goings in the world of college football and what may be on the horizon.
Is this a double tease hour?
I can't believe it. I've done it. For the first time in 27 years, I have teased each of the opening 2 segments on into the next like a professional, and I refuse to do it ever again. It's Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Your local news now.
Weeks after Donald Adelson's trial was unexpectedly upended, a judge has now ordered the 74-year-old to find a new defense team. While the defendant retains a presumptive right under the 6th Amendment to her counsel of choice, the right is not absolute. Circuit Judge Stephen Everett wrote, exactly 3 weeks ago, the Miami woman was prepared for her day in court. Adelson pleaded not guilty after being accused of plotting and paying for the 2014 murder of her former son-in-law, Dan Markle. It's a case that has captivated and shocked the Tallahassee area for a decade and consumed the lives of many members of the Markle and Adelson families. But Adelson's trial was delayed indefinitely the same day it was supposed to begin. Her lead defense attorney, Daniel Rashbaum, withdrew from the case over a conflict of interest. This week, Judge Everett benched Rashbaum's replacement, meaning Donna Adelson must find a new defense team. This is Rachel Lene with Real Talk 93.3 Local News Update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at MacklemoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. A wind advisory begins at 5 p.m. tonight and continues until 8 p.m. tomorrow night. Slight chance of rain showers this afternoon. Otherwise, cloudy skies expected. High temperatures reach up to 78. Northeast winds 10 to 15 miles per hour. Lows dip down to about 65. Tonight, mainly clear. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Currently, it's 73 degrees.
Hey, no fans, our partner ISF Inc. is a national management and IT consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, solving the future for state governments through strategy, process, and technology. As a trusted advisor for state governments, ISF knows the importance of defining a clear and detailed strategy. Our friends at ISF can help your organization create a strategy that sets you on a path to success. ISF, your vision plus our expertise brings your brilliant ideas to life. Visit ISF.com to learn more. ISF, solving the future. There he is. Haven't seen this guy since, what was it? Oh, shoot. U2 at the Sphere in Las Vegas, baby.
Hey, how about that, man? Wasn't that fun?
Good show. Good show. Everything about it. Nearly perfect. Nearly perfect.
I had everything I could possibly want.
I wanted one thing, couldn't find it, and I looked everywhere. No Cubans.
What do you mean?
No Cubans.
There was Cubans.
No, I didn't see any Cubans.
Dude, I'm sure there was Cubans there. I mean, you know.
No, I walked around. There was a moment right before the show. I thought, got to find some Cubans. Nothing.
Dude, there's Cubans. There was Cubans. I'm sure there was Cubans.
In Las Vegas?
In Las Vegas.
No Cubans in Vegas.
There's Cubans in Vegas, man.
Eddie, there were no Cubans.
Chef.
The sandwich. There were no Cuban sandwiches. You're Cuban. Of course I know there were Cubans there.
Oh, the sandwich. Yeah, no, there probably wasn't many there in Vegas.
No Cubans.
No, not yet.
Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
The guy says it with such conviction, doesn't he? The voice guy. Now, back to Jeff. I kind of like the way he's pumped.
He is.
He's excited about it.
That's such a weird existence. I remember the day that the big voice for 1270 died.
Yeah, I do too.
Maddie's like, hey, remember those scripts you wrote? He'll never read them because
he's dead. Wasn't he out of Arizona?
Now, Matt would know. I do not.
I believe he was out of Arizona. Living hard out in Arizona, out in the desert. And it cost him. He spun the big wheel and it landed on death. As it's wont to do when you're living hard. That was a whiskey and cigarettes voice. A good one.
It was. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I know, man. At some point, you got to let it go. Got to let it go.
The best was when the big voice guys, they'll do this. So you send them, you have so many minutes a month that you can send them, or words. It depends on what contract you have. But then they'll talk to you in the recording. And they'll be like, yeah, so I was out this weekend and maybe probably hit it a little too hard, but we'll give it a go today. And if it's bad, just send me an email and I'll recut them. Doesn't count against your words. But they'll tell you what their life is like. It's a very strange thing.
Yeah, they'll do the other part of it is a lot of times you'll hear them take a sip and you're not sure, is that coffee or what are they? Oh, my voice is a little, and then you're like, oh, okay, all right.
Or they'll like belch. I'm like, whoops, we're going to recut that one. We'll leave it in there for you.
Yeah. I think it's great. Okay, so a couple of things here that is interesting. And the NFL, we've talked about before that, college football was moving in line with the NFL. And that's true to some degree. I mentioned that Greg Sankey and Tony Petitti, that would be the SEC commissioner and the Big Ten commissioner, are meeting in Nashville. And it was thought at the time, and this was discussed, we even alluded to it when we heard about this upcoming meeting, that they were going to, in essence, demand of everybody else that they get at least 4 teams in moving forward to the college football playoff. And the other leagues like the ACC and the Big 12 are going to have to acquiesce to that. That's all there is to it. They don't really find themselves in a position to be able to push back.
You can't do that. Oh, okay, you can.
You can. And they will. And that is what they're planning on doing. So we knew that. And that in and of itself, you thought, okay, well, whatever. Not that big a deal. But then you thought, well, what else would they discuss? And I, being a Florida State guy, was thinking, Maybe they're discussing expansion. Maybe they're talking more about who they'll invite into their elite club. I'd like to eat from the money trough, as I often say. So I began to read more. I began to look into it a little bit. And here's what we figured out. This is going to be a historical summit of the industry's two major powers. And apparently, according to Ross Dellinger, there is an undercurrent driving the discussion. And it is called, unfortunately, it is called Project Rudy. That is actually the name of it. Named after, yes, that Rudy. Which is stupid, but that's what it's called.
It's got Rudiger in parentheses.
So this is going to, if it goes through, if it becomes what they want it to be, it'll be the future of college football. We'll all get bailed out. We'll not have to worry about whether or not we're in the ACC, the Big Ten, the SEC, the Big 12, or independent. It won't matter. It won't matter.
Those law firms will like us, though, a little bit more. We'll get a Christmas card every year.
Think about that. Those guys that are, those billable hours, which remain undefeated, are in a position right now to just, we're fighting a lawsuit. We're charging these people hand over fist, and this is never going to matter. They're going to a new league altogether, and not because of us. Here's the deal. This is spearheaded by former Disney executives turned investment professionals. Investment professionals. With no connections back to the mothership, back to Disney whatsoever, I'm sure. No. And it's pretty funny. Well, it is separate and more simplified than the one that was made public last week in terms of the proposals for the future of the playoff, right? It's a Super League-esque concept, if you will, which we've been talking about is someday going to be here no matter what. We didn't know if it was 10 years down the road, 14 years down the road, 8 years down the road. Either way, we couldn't be here in limbo. We needed to get out, and then when that day comes, whatever. So what it'll do, and this is the proposal, they went to 30 different major conference athletic directors before the start of this season. Most of those athletic directors, in fact, all of them, not named Radakovich at Miami, would not talk on the record about what they spoke of with these executives who want to change college football forever. They all said they couldn't talk and would not talk, and many of them wouldn't even give comments off the record. So, our lips are sealed. Radakovich studied. Basically, go look at his comments. I won't read all of it. He thinks it's great. It would incorporate football programs of the 4 power conferences. So the Power 4 would all be in, all right, as they are now. So they wouldn't be kicking out the Vanderbilts of the world, especially not after upsetting Alabama. But they wouldn't be kicking out, the Purdues of the world either.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, great. Wake gets another free ride.
Wake and
Awesome.
BC gets another free ride.
Awesome. You guys, wow, you're the best.
Nobody gets a more free ride than Rutgers, who's somehow in the Big Ten making all that money and not being worth a damn thing, although they're pretty good this year.
It's because I'm in the sanitation business.
So the model preserves the Power 4 conferences, and in addition to that, they want it to be, and this struck me as way too many, they want it to be a 70-team league. 70 teams. So if you do it and you add it all up, Power 4, in essence, then I looked around and thought, well, that doesn't quite get there. What else do we need? Oh, Notre Dame, Air Force, Army, Navy. There it is. There it is. So you're screwed if you're Boise.
Ooh, yeah.
You're screwed if you're Memphis. You see why SMU was like, we'll take no money. We'll just put us in. That's exactly why.
Maybe they're part of the executives.
Maybe they know.
Some of their billionaire oil money.
Maybe they know. These teams all scrambling to be in a conference. They see the writing on the wall. They're like, I'll go to your Power 4 conference. You don't even have to give me money. Just allow me to be a member of this conference.
We got to kick out Boston College and get the Richmond Spiders in there.
I like Richmond. The helmet is awesome. So here's part of this model. Not only does it preserve the 4 power conferences, it expands the postseason, which you knew was coming. It'll completely overhaul scheduling. There will be, and here's the kicker. You don't say. What do you think I'm going to say next, everybody? That's right. There will be tiers of revenue distribution based on ratings. Oh, wait a minute. You selfish sons of bitches. I mean, we were told that we were the devil for wanting our fair share, for generating revenue above and beyond for this conference, any other team in it. Under the new plan, that's exactly what would happen. If you're Ohio State, you make a lot more money than you do if you're sorry-ass Maryland. That's how it works. I would expect the Pat Forty article apologizing to all Florida State fans to be out tomorrow. I'm sure of it. He's probably pinning it as we speak. And every other Yahoo who tried to make Florida State and its fans feel bad for wanting more, for doing more.
The coddling continues.
So there'll be a tier system of revenue distribution, and they're going to infuse college football for these 70 teams with $9 billion of private capital cash into the system.
Private capital. Mm-hmm.
That's where we're going, buddy. $9 billion. 70 teams, expanded playoffs, tiers. Well, you might as well go on and make it just like European soccer. Let's get some people relegated.
Well, if I'm Maryland,
you get up out of here.
I'm scheduling as many good teams as I can so I get that ratings bonus.
You better figure out how to win some games, though, Tommy, or you're relegated.
0-12 with the best ratings in the business.
Hour number 2 coming up. We're all going through our own fitness journey. We want to get the most out of our time in the gym or with a trainer. We want to eat the right things and do the right things to be in the best shape possible. Why not find out exactly where you're at in that journey by getting a DEXA scan today? It's the most accurate measurement of all body composition methods. It is the gold standard in what is used in clinical diagnosis, the only method that can determine bone density and give a direct measurement of visceral fat. You can do so and save a bunch of money. That's why I'm here, guys. Use Jeff25 as a discount code for 25% off any of the services at DexaFit. It's not just a DEXA scan. They have red light therapy that helps accelerate wound healing, pain relief, muscle recovery, improve circulation, skin health. They'll also give you tips on personalized nutrition with weight management, fitness optimization. These are all things that you want to do to help correct imbalances. Go see our friends at DexaFit and save right now. Use code Jeff25. Discount code Jeff25 for 25% off any services at DexaFit.
T-Spark Enterprises, roofing and construction services. T-Spark Construction.com. We conquer all peaks. We fix those storm leaks. Call 850-766-134. T-Spark Enterprises, roofing and construction services. T-Spark Construction.com.
CCC 1331204. This announcement is brought to you by Fonville Lewis Messer McConaughey.
If you're driving right now, you should know there's an 80% chance that the cars all around you don't carry any bodily injury insurance. Most people don't realize it, but in Florida, all the law requires is that drivers carry property damage insurance. This means that the texting teen drifting over into your lane or the drag racer on your rear bumper have no way of compensating you or your loved ones when they cause a crash. And this should scare the hell out of you. Fortunately, there's an easy way to protect your family from this, and it's called uninsured motorist coverage. It's an absolute must, but a lot of insurance companies are convincing folks to drop it just to save a few dollars. Take it from the personal injury experts. Don't. At Fonville Lewis Messer McConaughey, we've recovered millions of dollars in uninsured motorist coverage in crashes where our clients would have otherwise received nothing. So please, call your agent right now and make sure you have uninsured motorist coverage on your policy. We hope you'll never need it, but we'll be here for you if you ever do. Fonville Lewis Messer McConaughey. Don't settle for less.
There's fun to be had every night at the Corner Pocket. Take home prizes on Trivia Tuesdays and Beer Bingo Thursdays. And kickstart your weekend with Martini Fridays. Plus, happy hour runs every weekday and game day specials every time the Noles take the field. Watch all the best games at the Corner Pocket's Vegas wall, featuring 560 inches of flat screen TV heaven.
Oh, really?
The best food, the best drinks, and the best place to watch all the games. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
Coming up next, more of the Jeff Cameron Show. Live and local on Real Talk 93.3. WVFT, Crescent, Tallahassee.
Your Sports Flash update on Real Talk 93.3 brought to you by Fulmar's Pawn, Gun and Gold. More than you might expect with two great locations in Tallahassee.
Tampa Bay Buccaneers continuing to go through their prep work for their game against New Orleans coming up this weekend. It's changed just a bit, though. They are not going to face off against Saints quarterback Derek Carr. He's going to miss multiple games with an oblique injury. And right now, what's not clear is whether or not it's going to be Jake Hayner or Spencer Rattler who will start against Tampa Bay coming up this weekend. The Jaguars getting ready for a game against Chicago and London, while the Dolphins are going into a bye week. NHL hockey, the Florida Panthers, they open up the season with a win yesterday. They knock off the Boston Bruins by a 6-4 score. This Sports Flash is brought to you by Fulmar's Pawn, Gun, and Gold, more than you might expect with two great locations in Tallahassee. I'm Matt Pauley on Real Talk 93.3.
It's time to shift seasons in style at Macy's Fab Fall Sale. Save on all the things you can't wait to wear, like shoe and boot specials 30 to 40% off, and coats for your crew 30 to 60% off. Plus, elevate your tabletop with hosting essentials from Gottinger, The Cellar, Thirsty Stone, and more 50% off. Even better, take an extra 20% off with your coupon or Macy's card. Going on now at Macy's. Savings off already reduced prices. Exclusions apply.
Not sure how much you know about Progressive Insurance. You may know us for insuring your home and auto. You may know a couple of our commercials. But what you may not know is that since 2013, Progressive has been honoring veterans with vehicle donations through the annual Keys to Progress Veteran Vehicle Giveaway Program, giving back to those who gave so much. Now, you probably didn't wake up today saying, I really wish I knew more about Progressive Insurance, but this seemed like the type of thing people wouldn't mind hearing about. Find out more about how we're dedicated to our customers and communities at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty.
Imagine for a moment that you are completely weightless in zero gravity. All of the weight and worry of life is melted away, and you fall into a state of profound relaxation. This is what you'll find at Tallulah CBD Mushrooms THC in Railroad Square when you try out their state-of-the-art floating pods. While you're there, shop for the best quality CBD, mushrooms, THC, and kava products available. Shop Tallulah today with 6 locations in Tallahassee and the Kava Bar Lounge in Bannerman Crossings. Online at TallulahSmokes.com.
No matter how busy life gets, your home is the place where your family and friends show you they care and celebrate with you. That's why the professionals at Barano Heating and Air Conditioning always make sure your home is comfortable. Just like those who matter to you most, Barano will always be there for you.
This is Tyler from Barano Heating and Air. Now you can schedule an appointment, purchase or renew your service agreement, or pay your bill from your mobile device. Any day, anytime, anywhere. When you turn to the experts at Carrier and Barano Heating and Air, online at baranoac.com.
Florida license number CAC 1816186.
There's no
Science-backed, technology-tracked, and coach-led. Hey, Jeff Cameron here. You've heard me rave about the benefits of Orange Theory Fitness and the proven track record of science-backed interval training. Well, now Orange Theory Fitness has done it again, adding more ways for you to improve your health and look your best. In addition to the always great standard workouts, OTF has added Tread 50 and Strength 50 for those in the mood to just lift for an afternoon or attack those cardio goals for the day. Take the guesswork out of exercise. Make sure you're getting the most out of each and every workout. Orange Theory Fitness, location Midtown Tallahassee and Village Square Boulevard.
Live from Florida's capital city, this is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness on Real Talk 93.3. Now, stop what you're doing and listen closely. It's time for the Jeff Cameron Show in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
the show. Probably should have. But I do want to wish all of you well that are listening in different parts of the state that are going to be greatly affected by this storm, certainly more than we are here in Tallahassee. So much like all of you that are out there, many of you anyhow, two of us have family down there, have family all over the Tampa, St. Pete, Bradenton, Sarasota areas, all of that. And so we wish you well. I know that many of you listen to this show via podcast, and you may be listening to this show in the future, meaning like this is tomorrow when you're listening to this and the storm has passed through and you don't have power, so you're listening to a pod. I appreciate that. Hang in there. Hang tough. Hopefully you're okay. Hopefully you, your family, your loved ones, your dogs, your cats, your pets, all that, everybody's okay. Your personal belongings, all of that.
Just been finding myself counting down the days until you get to about December 1st.
Get out of hurricane season?
And get out of this thing. Yeah. This is
endless loop.
It is an endless loop. And look, we're on the lucky side of the equation. I can't imagine, 4 or 5 counties to our east, what's going on there, because it's just been, is it a 100-year event if it happens 3 times in 5 years? It's not a 100-year event anymore. It's like what you should be expecting. It's just ridiculous.
It stinks. I hate it. And obviously a lot of people have been affected greatly, including my grandmother, who is 98 years old and is displaced, is out of the house that she's lived in for 60 years. So it's sad. I hate it for everybody out there. I know how tough it is. And so we wish you well, and we wish you luck as well, because none of us knows, right, exactly where it's going in and all of that. So we'll continue to monitor that. All right. So we were talking about the proposed Super League, Project Rudy, as it's known. And
that's starting to wear on me already.
It sucks.
So does that movie. Ooh.
Oh, Rudy? Yeah, it does suck. Yeah.
I was going to say,
well,
do you disagree?
No, not at all. It's terrible. By the way, I see in here we have an FSU grad living in Tampa that's listening to the show, has listened since he was at FSU. Thanks for the well wishes. Hunkering down in Tampa, Florida. Thank you. Appreciate you doing that. Listening, that is. I don't have to appreciate you hunkering down. That's just what you have to do. But I do appreciate you listening. So hang in. So this is fascinating, Tom. This is part of a larger discussion. You notice this is on the heels of a couple of things. I think we can marry the two and have a very big discussion about where all this is headed. And I'm serious about this. It's a leisurely, fun kind of conversation, because we're sports fans. We consume sports year round. I was pumped yesterday with the start of hockey. I know you always are. This year, you're more distracted because your Mets are actually in the playoffs for the 11th time in their franchise history, and they're winning games.
Wow. You were paying attention. Yeah, the 11th time.
Yeah. No, I pay attention to all things baseball, buddy. I know the good and the bad with every franchise, just about. And obviously, I'm keyed on my Pirates, who it's a pipe dream of making the playoffs, but with this owner anyhow. But that said, you're distracted. You weren't watching the Kraken yesterday like I was.
No. Even though I saw Yanni Gord got into some hijinks in the penalty box, that did make my feed. I did put a couple of wagers down on futures, so I can share those with you.
I don't know. That sounded haphazard. I'm not sure you were locked in on those wagers.
The haphazard is like the Hard Rock app was not pulling up in a timely fashion.
Hey, your boy over here. I gotta show you. No, somebody else screen grab it, so I'm not going to do that. I did good over the weekend. I did well.
Okay.
There's a lot of green.
Yeah.
When I pulled up the Hard Rock, it's just green. I was like, yeah, let's go.
So I actually had to lose $2.50 to the Hard Rock app because they put over and under inverted, and I clicked the buttons too fast. So the over was on the bottom and the under was on the top.
They did?
Yeah.
What is that about?
I don't know. And it cost me $2.50 to cash it back out to rebet, which was kind of annoying.
$2.50, not $250.
No. Yeah, $2.50 because it was a $50 bet, and so they give you $47.50 back. Thanks a lot.
Screwed you.
Just keep the over on top of the two.
That's where it needs to be.
Jerks.
That is correct.
Carolina under 100.5 points. Carolina under 100.5 points for the season. You can't play that physically for that long without winning a cup. You just can't. You're going to break down at some point. So
You're betting it's this year. You're betting it's this year. Yeah.
And then everybody's loving Nashville because of the splashy additions they made. Our former captain, another guy from out west. under 98.5 points. I don't think they're getting to 100 points this year. 100 points is not easy.
No.
Not easy to do.
No, it's not.
So there you go. There's your 2 wagers.
Panthers looked good last night. The defending champions dominated the Bruins. Looked good. They're a good team.
Yep.
They're a good team. Will be for a long time. So Project Rudy is the Super League. It's 70 teams. I think that's too many. We don't need 70 teams. No, not 70. I would trim it to 50, 48.
You do 48 guaranteed spots and 6 rotators. Get to 54.
Yeah.
Okay,
something like that. We don't need 70, but it's looking like it's going to be 70. And I mentioned this before. The architects behind this, the infusion of $9 billion of private capital cash into the system, which one SEC athletic director says is great, a perfect plan, quote unquote. The architects are a group that call themselves Smash Capital. It is a venture capital private equity firm.
Of course it is.
Yes, it is. They have offices in New York City and Los Angeles, as one does when you work for Smash Capital. They declined to comment. Reps did from Smash Capital when asked to comment on the 14-slide presentation that Yahoo Sports, still doing their job, somehow got a hold of. There you go, Yahoo.
The pitchmen are known as the Super Smash Bros.
You couldn't wait.
I really could not wait for that. But yes, you're right. Somehow Dellinger must be a venture capitalist himself. He's in the game. He's with the money people. Because anytime there's a document that could affect the money, Dellinger gets it.
I've hung out with Dellinger before, and he is.
Did he pay for all of your things?
Nobody could.
Yeah,
I'll explain why during the break. But it's yeah, no, but he's really good at his job, and I praise him for that. There aren't that many good journalists out there. He's one of them for sure. And so I'm glad he still has a gig. Most good journalists don't. The interwebs has cost us dearly. That's a diatribe for another day. So over the last 4 months, athletic directors at more than 25 power conference programs have seen the presentation, many of them in person during meetings with Smash Capital reps. So they're sneaking off, Tom, meeting with Smash Capital reps and getting the presentation. Okay, quick, I got an hour. They'll be on to me if I'm not back for lunch in an hour. Others held only Zoom calls to learn about Project Rudy.
This is really something out of a fiction novel.
In a recent acquisition, the architects of Project Rudy successfully recruited to join their team one of the most respected people within the college space, former Notre Dame athletic director Jack Swarbrick, now part of Smash Capital and their efforts in the college football world. 6 months ago, Jack Swarbrick, you might recall, sat on the College Football Playoff Governing Committee as one of the most powerful decision makers in the entire industry. Now he's at Smash Capital, Tom. He wrote out that that's it. I see the future. It's Smash Capital. Of all the ideas I've seen, this one makes the most sense, said Miami Athletic Director Dan Radakovich. Conferences are kept intact. Commissioners still have an important and valuable role. There's the ability for schools to make increased money from bigger matchups and more playoff games. I like it. Dan Radakovich. More than 36 people spoke to Yahoo Sports for the story. As I told you, those athletic directors said, you can't quote me. But others said, sure, under the condition of anonymity, I'll do it. It's sensitive. At a time, college football, that's the great divide, wavering trust, historic transformation. We see it all every day. Conferences rating other conferences, backstabbing people, lying to Jim Phillips and having his gullible ass say yes over and over again.
Not again.
Can't you clean up my trash too? More than 36 people, as I say, enter into this, and they all seem to like it. It's interesting. So here we go. That's coming at a time, Tom, where, and we'll see what happens with Project Rudy. There will be a lot on this over the next year, for sure. It's built on two simple concepts, they say, and that is to increase revenue from television networks and corporate sponsors. Arrange more games between power conference programs, eliminating all games against the group of 5 and FCS foes. I'm for that.
You know, it's funny. When you said the 2 principles, I really was bracing for something like integrity.
No, they went
ingenuity.
straight to it. This part I appreciate.
Yes,
They said
yes.
it's about the money.
Yep. Way to go, Smash Bros.
Yeah, Smash Capital is not having it. They're like, what do you think we do here at Smash Capital? It's in the name. What do you think we do here, guys?
We smash your profit margins and we replace them with bigger ones.
We're trying to make more money. So they want to arrange bigger games, all Power 4 conference teams playing each other, cross-conference, right? I like that. I like that part.
Call it conference cross-pollination.
There you go. And you can't play the group of 5 anymore. You can't play the FCS teams. They're going to expand the playoffs. And they want to pit more blue blood powers against one another on a weekly basis. They also want to consolidate the media rights of the 70 schools under one agreement, instead of the current structure of 5 different packages, one for each power league, and, of course, the separate one that includes Notre Dame's deal.
This would be why the Big and the SEC are meeting, yeah? Because if they want to listen to this, they got to get some sort of tribute in order to give up the competitive advantage that they have.
Well, now is where we have the other part of the conversation, which is when I said a moment ago that Greg Sankey and Tony Petitti were meeting.
Mm-hmm.
And I said at that time that it would be fun if we had a camera there to monitor that conversation in Nashville for many reasons. But I would also suggest to you, Tom, that I can't imagine that Greg Sankey and Tony Petitti are down with this.
Can't be. You've got a stranglehold on the industry.
Correct. Right, they're the 2 most powerful men in the sport. They're also dictating terms in the sport. They're also defining their legacies and where the sport's going. I don't know. I don't see them deciding, oh, yeah, let's give it all up. Let's let Smash Capital come in and dictate terms.
No, the only way that they would go on board with this is if the networks are ready to do it themselves first. So the networks have been convinced. And then they can do the old switcheroo, the old looky-loo, and Greg Sankey suddenly is a part of Smash Capital's advising team, and so is Tony Petitti. Or whatever the league is called. So the Smash Capital generates a new league. You got a name for it. And the commissioner is Greg Sankey, or the commissioner is Tony Petitti, and then the CEO or the CFO of the organization is the other guy. That's the only way that this thing works for them. Personally,
yeah. We're having different conversations. Like, do we think this is going to happen for college football? Is this something that looks like it could happen? I think something akin to this, whether it's this or something along these lines down the road, yes, I think that's what's going to happen.
Well, yeah, this is where the conversation's the same, though. In order for it to happen, these guys have to be on board, and most importantly, the networks have to be on board, because the networks can dictate and maybe sell. It's almost like a sublease agreement.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Now, this is me wildly speculating, but I would think if you have an agreement to broadcast SEC football as ESPN or Disney or whatever, you could at that point sell to Smash your rights, and then you could have the Smash Capital redistributed back to you. But there's moving parts, because also would you reclassify football away from all of the other NCAA sports?
Well, I think.
And
most
that has
assuredly
huge ramifications for athletic department budgets. So there's some big things here.
Well, and this comes at a time, by the way, speaking of ESPN, have you read this? I did in my Sports Business Journal. ESPN is going to launch something known as Flagship. Okay? Flagship is an even bigger, better version of ESPN Plus, in that you get everything ESPN has, everything, all of it, every morsel.
For $40 a month.
Of course, Tom. So 80% of ESPN's content that they produce is on ESPN Plus. If you have ESPN Plus, you get 80% of what they do. This would be the other 20% that you would get if you have, order, subscribe, pay monthly to Flagship. The way you do with Apple TV, the way you do with Amazon, the way you do with Netflix, the way you do with all of the streaming services. In reading this, you know what I found out? I found out that, well, how about this? Let's put it to the audience and you, because I'm really curious. You're tuned into this kind of stuff. You do a good job with this, and you also love it. You love it, all right? So here I'll ask you guys, what percentage of households in America currently subscribe to cable, have cable, traditional cable in their household?
Ooh.
What percentage of American households have cable? What do you think it is? They know, and I'll tell you the answer in a minute, but Go ahead, everybody. Throw out your guesses in the chat here. I'm kind of curious. We're having a little interactive today. So it's not just one-sided me talking to you. Throw it out here. Let me know what it is. What you think the percentage is. Tom, what about you?
It's down, obviously. I don't know. Let's go with 41%.
All right, Tom's guess is 41%.
That could be woefully high.
Tom's
we'll
guess
see.
is 41%. Now, let's what we got here.
All right.
Well, everybody's all over the map. Everybody's all over the map. Florida man says in Texas says 15%. Hawaii Noel 60%. Mark says 40%. Brett 45%.
Mark, I got you with the Price is Right game. Close without going over. 41.
Matt says 38%. Noel Dad Nice says 69%. And I know why he did that. Jeremy says
Got him.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for all of your guesses. You can stop guessing now because I'm going to give you the answer. Only 26% of homes in America have cable. It's down to 26%. Your 41% guess was terrible.
It was. I'm out of touch. Let's
Get
see.
it together, Lang.
Carl, Peter. Nice job with the 25s.
Yeah. If you got, Wicked High, good job. Wicked High came in at 25%, feeling good.
The Sox lost. I got Wicked High.
26% of homes in America have cable. So basically, think about this. This is on the heels of the conversation from earlier this week, or was it at the end of last week? I can't recall. Probably the end of last week. What did we say happened to baseball? That's right. All those RSN models crumbled.
Yeah. Major League Baseball picked up 2 or 3 teams in the last week.
They did, but here's the deal. So about 8 markets are going to be like, no thanks, Major League Baseball. I don't want to play under your umbrella. We like our cable deal. Those teams, yeah, you guessed it, the ones in New York and California and also Chicago. So if you're if you're with Yes, you kind of like your profits. You've done really well. Those are very successful cable companies, RSN models. They've done very, very well. The teams would lose money if they walked away from those deals. But as we saw in the state of Florida, for example, we know that, whatchamacallit, what's the name of this stupid?
Bally.
Bally, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They wrote out. Bally said, we're giving up. Here and other places, all the Bally people said we're out. Well, here's my question for you.
Where does Dwayne Stats work?
You told me. The Nats?
No, that was Slows.
Charlie Slows.
Yeah, no, Dwayne Stats is the Rays.
Yeah, I thought
where do I call Rays baseball?
Grabs the wood, wiggles it.
That's Slows, man. Dwayne Stats just says upstairs a lot. That's all he does.
All right, so here we go. So if 8 teams hang on tight with their RSN revenue, okay, we know who they are. Mets, Yankees, Dodgers, etc. Cubs, got it. Well, the Twins, in an article that we referenced when talking about Bally ducking out, announced that they lost $35 million when their version of Bally said peace. So they had to lower their payroll considerably because they lost $35 million. I heard somebody say the other day about this, maybe it was this morning, I lose track, that let's just take, let's use the Rays. Okay, so we know that the local markets, those deals were great for these teams, and those ratings were huge. Remember that? That's why we thought, well, this is interesting. Baseball became very, very much like hockey in that sense, right? Doesn't do well nationally, does really well in your market.
We argued about the bubble for it, but yes, that's how the Rays would declare that they were more popular than attendance would suggest that they are.
By far.
Yeah.
They were the number 1 rated show in Tampa St. Pete.
Yes.
It was crazy, right? All right, well, it still didn't save them. No. Because Bally said peace.
And they didn't spend any money on the payroll.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But here you go. What if you have a $100 million payroll and you're the Rays, and they don't, but let's just say they did, and $60 million of that came from your RSN deal? Well, good luck, buddy. We're about done deal because you think Major League Baseball is going to give you that lost revenue? Major League Baseball is not going to hand you that now that they're in charge of distributing your product. What will happen, I do think, and is interesting, is if you look at this other thing, ESPN flagship. So they over the last 2 years, ESPN has cut the amount of baseball coverage they have because they're preparing to not re-up the deal with Major League Baseball. What's interesting about that is I think they came to that decision, Tom, a few years ago before the changes in Major League Baseball. Like they began to say, this isn't going to work for us. We need to move on from this. Here's your problem. Baseball's more popular over the last 2 years. It's gone up each year. Baseball's popularity has seen a resurgence. Not great, but it's a resurgence. It's never going to catch football, obviously. But its numbers, both at the gate and in terms of viewership, way up because of the rules changes. It worked. We said this might be the greatest thing any league has done in an awful long time to exact change, and it worked. Well, anyhow, what I think ESPN does is renegotiate and says, okay, baseball, here's what we'll do. We'll distribute from Major League Baseball the Rays in your area, and you can get it if you have flagship.
Right.
That's where this is going.
Well, yeah, that's how it was before. I mean,
but by the way, the best part about this, just from a consumer standpoint, no more blackouts. We're done with the nonsense.
If they lift the blackouts, then this all becomes a lot more feasible.
That's the plan to lift the blackouts.
But then you have to do the cost-benefit analysis of just getting the sports-specific MLB TV package or ESPN flagship. Like, which one is actually more beneficial to you? Because I can tell you that having ESPN Plus up in New York last year, I could watch every Lightning game.
Right.
Because they had Bally's Lightning hockey. So I could watch the Lightning every night. So ESPN already has that for one sport. And they have it for golf. But if they grab it for the rights to baseball, now you're starting to cook with gas here.
Well, the amazing thing is that, look, hockey is a great success story. ESPN dumped hockey.
Yeah.
And they had to go wander off in the wilderness.
Yeah.
They were on the freaking Versus network. And then
and now they've got 2 deals with Turner and ESPN, the way that the NBA
came
does.
back to them and was like, oh, man, we were wrong. So people like your product.
But I think that's where some of this, it's a separate discussion, but the RSN bubble, it's already bursting for some markets. But like the Dodgers, for example.
Oh, that's crazy.
I keep pointing.
Yeah.
Well, but they have an $8 billion 25-year agreement, $8 billion 25 years. If you break that down to a 160 game per year schedule, right? Just so take all the math, divide it all out. So on a per game, here's what you must make. It's $2 million a baseball game for the Dodgers. Now they've got more elements, pregame shows and postgame shows.
Yeah, and they're making that.
$2 million a game?
It's, buddy, that franchise, it's crazy.
Break it out by innings and spot rates and all. That is absurd. $2 million a game.
You get a couple massive corporate sponsors, and then you go from there.
I don't know.
Everybody else is like $100,000.
Maybe.
Dude, the people that go to the Bucks games at Ray J. Look at those corporate sponsors. I don't know what Publix pays to be all over the damn field, but probably a pretty penny
for stadium rights and all that.
But I'm saying that's what you can get.
It's all blended in.
Yeah.
But, you're talking $320 million a season in terms of revenue that you must generate to break even as the Dodgers network, as the Dodgers television network. Holy cow.
It's
quite the goal.
It's pretty amazing though. ESPN wants those local markets. They want to be able to do what Amazon's doing now. Amazon's led the way with all this. The numbers for Amazon broadcasts for football are huge. And the thing about that, and we got to go break. I've gone 30 minutes straight on this because I find it fascinating. The thing about with Amazon, so if you have it, so I have it, you have it, whatever, most of us have Amazon Prime. I'm not selling Amazon here. I'm just saying most of us have because it's convenient. Anyhow, the point is when, you were grandfathered in when they started broadcasting football games, you were like, oh, well, I've got Amazon Prime. Do I have it? Yes, you do. You just sign in on the app. You're good to go. Okay. Guess I'll keep paying for that. The reason it beats the hell out of what used to be is that once you're locked into Amazon's app, you can't flip back and forth. You can flip within Amazon, but you can't flip back and forth. No. And I found myself the other night pissed off because I was trying to flip from one platform to another platform to watch 3 different games. And one's on Hulu, one's on ESPN, the other's on Amazon. I'm like, God dog it.
Yeah, it used to be
just flippity doo is what it used to be.
So we were spokesman for a cable company for a little while there. You might have heard that, might have not.
Mm-hmm.
But there was a time around maybe about 10 years ago where they changed the technology of the cable box, and it got to a place where channel changing wasn't instantaneous anymore. It kind of had to think when you flip the channel,
which was ridiculous
in the 90s and early 2000s when cable was, it was just 2 digits on a box. That's the channel that you were on. It was instantaneous channel changes. So you wouldn't miss but an instant.
Buddy, I used to love the back and forth.
Possession for possession.
I miss
play
flipping
for
channels.
play.
I used to love every man in America grabbed his Johnson, sat on the couch, and just flipped for no reason, aimlessly, just sat there flipping. Every now and then took their hand off their junk and took a sip of beer and went back to flipping. That's kind of how it happened. And it was a great life.
It's called adulthood.
It was a wonderful way to be. Women everywhere were disgusted, but we were happy. We were happier, I tell you.
Hey, hun, Married with Children's on again. This is a classic.
Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV. Before I hit the break, I do want to tell you very quickly, my friends at Tried and True, we got some announcements coming up here soon with them. They're awesome in this community. They're doing great work with lots of businesses. Hit that QR code if you're watching on the screen here. I've told you about the Tried and True ad program. Gives you a needed boost, exposes your company and their services to more people, and that's what you want. They're going to make you some money, and they'll come in there and they'll do it for free. They'll set up the ad board, the extra TV. If you're a bar or a restaurant, you've got room on the wall, they got you. They got you. You got a waiting room in your dentist's office, they got you. Do it up. Put that TV up there. You've got 2/3 of that screen for whatever you want. The others will be what they control from a distance. They don't have to be in with you. They can do it from Orlando. They can do it from here in Tallahassee. They've got places all over the state doing great work. Call Don, Joe, or Rusty today. And again, I can't wait to tell you about something we're about to do at the end of this month with them. And it's charitable. It's going to be a cool thing, and I think you guys are going to want to participate in this. 844-464-6653. 844-464-6653.
Hi, this is J.L. Dunbar. I want to tell you why I'm supporting Robert Churchill for Leon County Judge, and I hope you will too. For more than 20 years, I've known Robert Churchill to be a good neighbor, a loving father and husband, a business owner, and a respected attorney. In fact, everything I've seen tells me he'll make a great Leon County Judge. Vote Robert Churchill for Leon County Judge.
Paid for and approved by Robert Churchill for Leon County Judge, Seat 4.
This is Alex from Fulmers. We've been buying gold and silver jewelry, fine watches, and other collectibles for over 45 years. But did you know Fulmers buys and sells gold and silver coins, bars, and bullion? Don't get scammed online or pay high shipping and handling fees. Call or stop by Fulmers for a quick and easy quote. No matter if you're new to investing in bullion or have been collecting a lifetime, Fulmers is your local source for buying, selling gold and silver coins and bullion. Fulmers, more than you might expect, with 2 great locations. As you probably know, Fulmers buys, sells, and loans on just about anything of value. What you might not know is that when you buy something from us, we guarantee the total satisfaction of your purchase. Buy it, take it home, and if for any reason you decide you don't want it within 7 days, Fulmers will give you 100% of your money back. And if you decide you don't want the item within 30 days, Fulmers will let you exchange it for something you do want. At Fulmers, we guarantee you're going to be happy with your purchase or we'll buy it back. Fulmers, check cashing, pawn service, and sales. 2 times more than you might expect, with 2 great locations.
Tallahassee is full of rich history and traditions. When you think of things that jump out in the minds of longtime residents, the state capitol, McClay Gardens, the Springtime Tallahassee Parade, FSU and FAMU Sports, the St. Mark's Lighthouse, St. George Island, and Paul's Termite and Pest Control. Paul's has been protecting thousands of people, their pets, their homes, and their lawns in the capital region for over 50 years. Locally founded and still locally owned and operated. There aren't many businesses in our industry that keep it together that long. Paul's Pest Control has many customers we've been honored to serve for over the last 50 years. We've experienced tremendous changes in how we treat homes and protect the people that live there. We've moved from liquid termite treatments that require drilling into the home's foundation to Centricon, a baiting system which works with their natural biology. We've moved from interior service to exterior treatments for general pests. But one thing we're not going to change is our old-fashioned commitment to personal service for each of our customers, the same way we've been doing it for over 50 years.
For the elimination of termites, any other pests, and a greener lawn too.
Call Paul's.
We'll get them all.
Surprising flavors, cultural authenticity, and unique adventures are some of the main ingredients that go into every single plate served at Café de Martin, Tallahassee's best Peruvian dining experience. Led by classically trained Chef Martin, passion for culture, passion for flavor, and a passion for people can be felt from the moment you step inside. Café de Martin also offers an unparalleled outdoor dining experience in the garden. Surrounded by vibrant flowers and plants, and nestled between carefully curated decor, the shaded and breezy outdoor garden features elegant live music regularly, and the romantic evening lighting makes Café de Martin the best place to share conversation and connect with the ones you love. Every dish is made from scratch, and every drink is handmade by trained bartenders, offering the very best margaritas and old fashions in the city. Take a trip to a Peruvian paradise right here in the capital city. Visit Café de Martin and El Bar on Capitol Circle Northeast in the Esposito Shopping Center. Open daily for lunch, happy hour, and dinner. Find the full menu online at cafedemartin.com.
Science-backed, technology-tracked, and coach-led. Hey, Jeff Cameron here. You've heard me rave about the benefits of Orange Theory Fitness and the proven track record of science-backed interval training. Well, now Orange Theory Fitness has done it again, adding more ways for you to improve your health and look your best. In addition to the always great standard workouts, OTF has added Tread 50 and Strength 50 for those in the mood to just lift for an afternoon or attack those cardio goals for the day. Take the guesswork out of exercise. Make sure you're getting the most out of each and every workout. Orange Theory Fitness, location Midtown Tallahassee and Village Square Boulevard.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
By the way, trying to explain to the elderly in your family how to go and work these only app televisions, like they can't just flip it.
Yeah.
Buddy. Like, you talk about an exercise of futility. I like, well, no, listen, no, hold on. Just hit the home button. Hit the home button. Oh, okay. Which one's that? The one that looks like a home. Hit the one that's the home button on your controller. What? The home. It's literally a home. Just click on the home.
Well, it's a house. Yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
it's a home. It's a house, right? You wouldn't mistake that. Like, what? I see a house, but not a home. You wouldn't do that. So anyhow,
it's not my home.
But so anyhow, they clicked on it, right? So I won't tell you which parent this is, but or which family member this is. But anyhow, I said, oh, all right.
Got a couple candidates.
So I said, hey, all right, you got that? Yeah. All right. So are you seeing apps? Are you seeing like Hulu? Do you see ESPN Plus? Do you see Apple? What do you see? YouTube? Do you see any of these apps? Yeah, I see all of them. Well, there you go. Click the arrow to the one you want. But I just want the TV. Correct. If you're on this, you're subscribing to one of these things, if not all. And that's how you're getting your local channels. Probably in this case that you have it, Hulu. So click on the Hulu app and let me know what you see. Which one's Hulu? The green one that says Hulu. That's the one. Click on that one. I don't think we have Hulu. What do you have? I'm not sure. How do you not know what you have? Have you watched TV in the last year? Well, I have, but I know when I go to Netflix that I can just pick. Right. So let's use Netflix as an example. When you click on it, you don't get stuck watching the same effing movie over and over again. Why? Because they have lots of them. That's right, they do. And you can scroll all through there and pick the one you want. All the other apps are the same way. Click on one of the others and just start scrolling until you see something you like and bada! Hit that sucker and you're watching it just like that. If you subscribe to it, you need to find out what you're subscribed to. I can't help you with that. I don't see your bill. I don't know. So I hit the house and the Hulu comes on? No, it does not come on. You hit the house, then it will show you all the apps that you have. This is what, and Tom, when I get to that stage, if you're calling me and I'm like, Tom,
you've been at that stage with computer stuff. Now,
no.
Less with me. No, hang on now.
Okay.
You'll agree with this. If Millar is listening to this, he's saying,
no, that's not fair. Go ahead. I'll let you continue.
No, I mean,
I used to be.
Yes, in the olden times.
Back in the old day when computers were brand new.
Yes, Millar would come. He'd be like, Millar! And then he'd be like, what?
Yes.
And he'd get out of his chair and he'd go into the corner office.
I'd be like, why won't this thing come up? And he'd be like, because you got to do
that.
Yeah.
man, and then he'd go back to his desk.
But you know what? You will admit there is nobody on planet Earth more unlucky.
Yeah.
With the kinds of problems that crop up in my household on my desktop.
I don't know what websites you're going to.
I'm not going.
This poor kind of performance out of your computer.
No, my iMac at home kicks ass. It's a big old. You've seen it. It's awesome. All right, listen. But for some reason, I've had the weirdest things happen on any number of computers.
Mm-hmm.
And I will call you, and you'll say, "Well, have you tried this? Have you tried?" I try all those things, and then you go, "I don't know what to tell you." Now, the thing is, most of the time, the answer is just to turn the thing off and turn it back on.
Yeah.
Which is the age-old answer to every problem.
Oh, that happened to me yesterday. They were redoing the fiber in my place. I need fiber because we upload big files here at Warchant.com. And it worked as the guy left. And sure as hell, 2 hours later, the situation was worse than before he arrived. Even plugged-in internet things failing. Upload speeds of 0.15. I'm supposed to get 1,000.
Yes.
0.15 is a lot less than 1,000.
It's not going to get it done, Tom.
So I called the guy, and he's like, well, hang on a minute. Let me do the old reboot. I'll send the reboot signal. And if it isn't working. And I asked him, I said, sir, why? Why does the reboot work with all of this technology we have?
I think it gets confused.
He goes, you'd be surprised how. No, this guy is a different one than the tech. And I trust him. His name's Ernest.
Oh,
and he was that too.
That's how you trust somebody.
That's how he worked.
They're earnest. And he's literally earnest.
He is. And he said, you'd be surprised how many jams we get out of just by unplugging and replugging. It's dumb.
It's everything.
That's ridiculous. He goes, I know. All right, sir. Have a good day.
Yeah, they're probably doing that at the Pentagon. Like, it's like, whatever, hey, what do I do here? We've got top secret files on this. Just unplug it and plug it back.
We've got a missile warning. I mean, that's War Games.
Yeah.
It wasn't real.
Great movie.
Just unplug it and replug it.
Can't believe they remade that. Why would you do that? Don't do that. They've remade all of our classics and ruined when they remake them. Like, did you see the remake of Point Break? No. Stupid as hell.
I didn't see Point Break till about 3-4 years ago.
It's really good.
And it was. It lived up to it.
It's really good. It's ridiculous.
Ali Sheedy was outstanding in her early days too in War Games.
Oh, War Games, yeah.
Well, as a kid, I'm like,
she was outstanding in Breakfast Club.
Yeah. That was still her early days. Wow, stunning.
She had a good run.
She did.
Kind of reserved, like kind of.
I'd hang out for Johnny Five just because Ali Sheedy was working.
I didn't know Tom had a thing for Ali Sheedy back in the day.
Yes, sir.
The chick from Some Kind of Wonderful who had the short hair, who was the drummer.
I haven't seen that movie.
Oh, come on, get it together.
What year did it come out?
Got Eric Stoltz. It's one of
Eric Stoltz,
the redhead, Pulp Fiction. Mikasa Tsukasa.
Oh, that guy.
That's Eric Stoltz.
Oh, okay.
He's in a million films for a long time. He had a run of like 25 films. He was also in whatchamacallit, was it the original Mask, not the one that Jim Carrey did. Mask was the yeah. That's him.
Was he? That was him with all the makeup.
Yeah, that's him.
Oh, okay.
A young him.
Mask. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember
with
that movie.
Cher.
Cher was in it.
Cher was the mom.
I never saw Mask, but everybody knows Mask because it's Yeah.
Anyhow, so we can't flip Mary Stuart Masterson. That's right, man. I had a thing for Mary.
Was that
Stuart.
TPE?
No, that was Live Spectator. He nailed it. Yeah, and she was fantastic. And then you know what happened to her? She went crazy. She went wackadoo.
Oh, really?
I mean, like walking around.
Wackadoo.
She's like walking around talking to trees and stuff. Yeah,
it's like Kramer.
Not like a hippie. Like she lost it.
Oh man.
Like put her in padded wall cell type thing, and then she came out. She got out, but it was never the same. Tom, it was never the same.
Yeah.
That
was Kelly Kapowski for me.
I also felt that way about the lady who was in the woman who was in damn, what was her name too? I'm forgetting it now. She was in A River Runs Through It as the love interest. She was awesome too. She also went nuts. I don't know what it is.
You like the crazy ones?
No, Selma Hayek is perfectly sane, 57, hotter than ever. Hotter than ever. Did I miss the news? Were we supposed to do the news? I haven't done the news, or did I?
We could still run the news. It's there.
So it's all apps, everybody. It's what we got. This is where we are. Everything is an app. Everything is going to be a streaming service. And I don't think I'm going to be wrong when we said over a year ago, seems to me that the Super Bowl in the matter of the next 5 years will be behind a paywall. And you'll get it. Why wouldn't they do that? People pay for Monday Night Football. I mean,
Yeah.
they're going to pay for the Super Bowl.
Oh, it's going to make people do what they did for prize fights back in the day.
Oh,
Just
buddy.
go hang out together and somebody buys it.
Man, I go back to the days of going into the movie theaters to watch the big fights.
Closed circuit.
Closed circuit television, buddy. With my buddy Luis Morales and his father, Dr. Morales. Dr. Morales was a heart surgeon who smoked and drank like a fish. Awesome dude.
If fish smoked, he would be the
It
fish who
was him.
smokes.
He was the man. Loansforknowles.com. Speaking of the man, Shannon Young, Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation. Rates are falling fast. Properties are sitting on the market for a long time. If you have, listen, if you think about interest rates, if you have credit card debt, you're paying off high interest rates on any of those, which you usually are, or maybe you want home improvements, which I do. Give Shannon a call today. He just saved a borrower over $2,000 a month by using the equity in their home to pay off debt and increase their credit score of over 100 points. That's what you do. Shannon Young's the guy. Loansforknowles.com. Loansforknowles.com.
News now.
A second Tallahassee man is behind bars in connection to a September armed robbery turned shooting that happened near Tallahassee State College. 20-year-old Trayvon Gilliard was arrested Tuesday and is charged with armed home invasion and firearm possession by a delinquent, arrest papers say. The home invasion happened September 11th at the social 2700 apartments on West Pensacola Street. Investigators wrote in arrest papers 2 people entered the apartment and held 2 other people at gunpoint while they stole electronics. As the suspects fled police, they got out of their car and ran while one fired shots at an officer's car. The incident prompted a shelter-in-place protocol for Tallahassee State College at the time. Trayvon's brother, Tyree Gilliard, was also arrested last month and acted as the getaway driver. The second suspect who entered the apartment is still on the run. This is Rachel Lene with your Real Talk 93.3 local news update brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at macklemoresystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Frombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. A wind advisory begins at 5 p.m. tonight and continues until 8 p.m. tomorrow night. Slight chance of rain showers this afternoon. Otherwise, cloudy skies expected. High temperatures reach up to 78. Northeast winds 10 to 15 miles per hour. Lows dip down to about 65. Tonight, mainly clear. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Currently, it's 73 degrees.
Dream it, plan it, do it. Brian Barnard's Flooring America offers a straightforward way to shop with our streamlined shopping.
Finding the right flooring is simple. Visit our newly remodeled showroom featuring the Room to Explore shopping experience, where our knowledgeable staff will walk you through the steps.
Our family has been serving the area since 1976 with a local staff of more than 35 people trained in flooring sales and design. We know floors.
And we know styles. Let us help make your home timeless.
Brian Barnard's Flooring America, where friends send friends.
There is no Bigfoot, Eddie. Would you stop with that nonsense?
There's a Bigfoot, Jeff.
I wish there were. By the way, I don't want you to point to me as the guy that takes all the fun out of the room. I wish there was the Loch Ness Monster. I wish there was the Bigfoot. I wish there was the Chupacabra. All the things.
They're all mythical except for the Bigfoot. The Sasquatch.
The Bigfoot?
The Bigfoot. There's big feet. There's lots of them.
So like different, breeds, like different kinds.
There's like, families. There's different families. And,
so there's if they're in the snow, you call them a Sasquatch.
Or the Yeti, right?
Yep,
and then
Yeti.
Here in Florida, that's a skunk ape. And,
I've never heard that one. By the way, why do you think it's real? We would have found them by now.
They're the hide and seek champions of the world. Nobody finds the Bigfoot.
I think you believe in Bigfoot.
I do believe in Bigfoot.
You don't believe.
I believe in Bigfoot.
Don't tell anybody you believe in Bigfoot.
I would go look for Bigfoot, but he scares me.
Florida, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
One can hope, Carol. One can hope. She writes, Kirby Smart to the Jets. Please make it happen. Please make it happen. Let's go. Get him up out of here. He's figured it out and then some. He's got to go. Loves recruiting. Is obsessed with it. Always recruiting. Always be recruiting instead of ABC. It's him.
Recruiting is his Salma Hayek.
Obsession. Well, it would be great. I did crack up, by the way, at the fact that they fired him 5 games. I'm like, man, they just sort of like, that's it. I've had enough. And then I read, and I did not know this. So Woody Johnson, the owner who pulled the plug, he was Trump's foreign ambassador to England for the United States when Trump was in office. So he went over to England with the Jets and basically was humiliated in front of his people. The Vikings were up 17-0. He's like, this is ridiculous.
So it got personal.
It got personal. The genesis for the firing was that they looked bad in London.
Right.
He's like, this is ridiculous. I'm out.
Because Salah's coaching Rodgers to throw terrible interceptions against the Brian Flores defense. That's Salah's job, is to get A-Rod to stop throwing picks.
I'm not going to lose sleep over Salah, though. He's like 12 games under 500 over 3 years. That's enough to get you fired, typically.
It is.
I mean,
that
typically,
defense was remarkable for a long period of time. But he's not the defensive coordinator,
He's
so
not.
I hear you.
Yeah. And the defensive coordinator just got elevated. And the thing is, like, last year, that coordinator who is responsible for that great defense, Tom, or partly responsible for that great
defense. It's Salah's, but yes.
But he gets credit as the DC, right? The Chiefs tried to get him. So you know what? He's like, oh, they're coming for my guy. You got to go, Salah. I'm taking the younger, better. We're starting over here. I don't know. It's like, I like when coaches get fired in the NFL because it just starts a chain reaction of fun things to talk about. And like, we'll see who goes where and why.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's like when somebody in a fantasy draft takes a defense. Everyone's like, they took the defense.
Everybody quick.
Oh, God. I got to take a defense. That's what happens. Everybody starts to panic, batten down the hatches, pay too much money for their guy. It's a cycle. But if it could dip into the college waters, that would be cool. It would move some things around for us.
I yesterday got asked a question about obviously our season and some of these wild swings that we're seeing. So, for example, Kansas was very good last year. They're terrible this year. I don't know. I think Michigan may lose 2 or 3 more games fresh off of winning the national championship or the invitational championship. And the question was something along the lines of, is this just what we're going to see moving forward in this era where everybody has portal money, everybody has NIL money, I should say, and access to the portal? And, you know, if it is, then I'm happy because that's what I wanted it to be.
Well, then we need to calm down for the highs and the lows in the future. Once we know that that's the reality. We don't know that that's the reality.
We don't know. And it certainly doesn't have to look like this.
No, of course not.
You don't have. You can go from one really good season to a bad season. It just can't be like the worst rushing offense in America, which it is. Very close to being. And yeah, that can't happen. Like if we move forward and decide, oh, well, Vanderbilt beating Alabama is kind of a normal thing that happens in college football now because everybody's able to go out and get a quarterback or go out and get this special player. And maybe in a game where you have fewer possessions these days because of the new clock rules, right? Maybe, just maybe, these kinds of upsets can happen. You combine all the factors that have changed in college football, perhaps. I think Burke asked me that question on during the questions for headlines yesterday. I never got to it. But it's
that bothered you. I'm glad that it did.
Well, it did bother me, and I felt bad for not answering it. And we have lots of people I don't get to. We don't always have enough time, and a lot of the questions are repetitive.
That's right, Noel 123. He doesn't like your questions.
That's not what it is.
That's why he's ignoring you.
It's not what it is. But I wanted to get to that one because I hope that it is. I hope the byproduct of this is that you do see. Now, I don't want to go from 13-0 to potentially 2-10. I'd prefer that not to happen. But might we see crazy variance season to season because of all these factors that have changed? Perhaps.
Well, it's happening before our eyes today because the Division I subcommittee of the NCAA is meeting as we speak, and they're putting out recommendations and they're putting out changes. Some of these have been finalized. Some of them have a formality to go through before they're finalized. But one thing that's happened today is the national letter of intent, as we know it, is dead. It's no more.
Yeah.
For college kids.
It doesn't do any good.
They'll be signing a different piece of paper. Now we'll see how binding it is, what the rules are, but apparently what's going to replace it is something that's along the lines of almost like the grant and aid back in the day, financial aid forms. But there's going to be some tie to revenue sharing in the signature of that agreement because players are now going to get a portion of the revenue at the university receives, and it's upwards of $20 to $25 million in the House settlement. So it's happening. This metamorphosis is happening right before our eyes about how it's actually going to be conducted, because on signing day on the 4th of December, less than 2 months away is the signing period. Of course, it's not December 20th like last year. We would have benefited from a couple extra weeks, a bit of a buffer.
Absolutely.
Not anymore, which that's the argument for making coaching changes earlier, is that you want to hit the trail before the conference championship games. But
Life Spectator writes, but FSU aspires to be a perennial top 10 program, so ups and downs aren't part of the equation. Glad you pointed that out. If you end up in the SEC or the Big Ten as currently constructed, the ups and downs are real, unless you're a blue blood and recruit like a blue blood. Unless you're Alabama most years or Georgia right now under Kirby, you are going to see disparate results. And I will tell you that I think moving forward, listen, if we're going to cross-pollinate, as Tom's called it, and we're all going to be playing games in which you've got, no G5, and hell, we can't beat a G5 right now. But if we're playing games where you're facing Ohio State, followed by Notre Dame, followed by NC State, followed by Alabama, followed by Miami, followed by Tennessee, followed by Illinois on the road, you're just going to have seasons where you go 9-3, and you're going to have to, much like in the NFL, go, that team's really good. Well, they lost 5 times. Yes, they went 12-5. It's the NFL. People lose. I mean, that's the way you're going to have to view that. That's where this is headed. Now, the sacrifice to that is that, frankly, look, Alabama just lost to Vanderbilt, Tom, and only fell 6 spots. What are we doing? Why do you think that happened?
You know what we're doing.
Well, it's not just to coddle Alabama. I believe the reason that's happening is because people are like, they're going to make the playoff.
Well, they've got a lot of evidence to that end.
The law.
They do. I'm not trying.
I'm saying
it's true.
Yes, but they also beat Georgia. They know they're a good team. So people are like, it's a loss. They're not out of it. Under the old system, they'd have been out of it, which we're going to miss. We're going to miss a little bit of that.
They beat Georgia. That makes them a good team. Does it make them a great team? There's my hot take. How good's Georgia?
Well, we don't know. Georgia struggled against Kentucky, lost to Alabama, who lost to Vanderbilt. Maybe Georgia's not better than Vanderbilt. Final hour forthcoming. This is flying by. We're having fun.
This is Shannon Young with Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation. Sellers, are you stuck between wanting to sell your home and waiting for rates to fall? Are you worried about the contingency of having to sell your home? What if you didn't have to? With a 2-1 rate buy down, you can lock in a lower interest rate for the first 2 years of your mortgage and get the home you want now, all while having a higher chance to buy that next home with the contingency of selling yours. If you wait for rates to fall, you risk more competition, sellers less likely to wait, and paying more for that next property. If you're stuck, we need to talk. Give me a call at 954-369-6171. Again, this is Shannon Young with Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation. That's 954-369-6171. And don't forget, for every loan we close for our fellow Noles, I will personally donate $250 to the Battle's End.
Equal housing rent. NMLS number 373031.
Hello, fans. Our partner, ISF Inc., is a national management and IT consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, solving the future for state governments through strategy, process, and technology. As a trusted advisor for state governments, ISF knows the importance of defining a clear and detailed strategy. Our friends at ISF can help your organization create a strategy that sets you on a path to success. ISF, your vision plus our expertise brings your brilliant ideas to life. Visit ISF.com to learn more. ISF, solving the future. Hey, let me tell you about my friends at Tried and True Consulting, a Seminole-owned business that specializes in payments and business solutions. Tried and True's core expertise includes card, ACH, point of sale, mobile, e-commerce, and hosted payment solutions. Tried and True will help you reduce costs and increase your bottom line. That always sounds nice. Whether you're a retailer, restaurant, licensed professional, or service industry, Tried and True is saving you money. Tried and True's expertise extends to payroll, video menu ad boards, IT services, web design, and social media. It's time to make one call and tell the competition to take it on down the road. Call Don or Joe today at 844-464-6653. That's 464-6653. When you do business with Tried and True, they contribute 10% of the net revenue to the Battle's End. So go Tried and True today. Call 844-464-6653.
There's fun to be had every night at the Corner Pocket. Take home prizes on Trivia Tuesdays and Beer Bingo Thursdays. And kickstart your weekend with Martini Fridays. Plus, happy hour runs every weekday and game day specials every time the Noles take the field. Watch all the best games at the Corner Pocket's Vegas Wall, featuring 560 inches of flat screen TV heaven.
Oh, really?
The best food, the best drinks, and the best place to watch all the games. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
WBFT Greater Tallahassee. This is Real Talk 93.3. More of the Jeff Cameron Show is coming up next. Your sports action update on Real Talk 93.3 with all the latest odds from Vegas. Brought to you by Fulmar Spawn, Gun and Gold. More than you might expect with 2 great locations in Tallahassee.
With the approach of Hurricane Milton, South Florida and Memphis have moved their Friday night game at Raymond James Stadium to Saturday afternoon. Memphis a 7.5-point favorite, total 59.5. UCF Saturday at home at Cincinnati, laying 3.5, the total 59 at FBC Mortgage Stadium. Tennessee a 15.5-point home favorite against the Florida Gators at Neyland Stadium in Knoxville, the total 54.5. Florida has won 17 of its last 19 against the Vols. Sunday in London, it's the Bears and the Jaguars. Bears a 2-point favorite, 44.5 the total. Bundle and save with Progressive. Progressive.com. For more sports betting news and information, go to VSIN.com. Mike Sennett, Real Talk 93.3.
It's time to shift seasons in style at Macy's Fab Fall Sale. Save on all the things you can't wait to wear, like shoe and boot specials, 30 to 40% off, and coats for your crew, 30 to 60% off. Plus, elevate your tabletop with hosting essentials from Gottinger, Bestseller, Thirsty Stone, and more, 50% off. Even better, take an extra 20% off with your coupon or Macy's card. Going on now at Macy's. Savings off already reduced prices. Exclusions apply.
Not sure how much you know about Progressive Insurance. You may know us for insuring your home and auto. You may know a couple of our commercials. But what you may not know is that since 2013, Progressive has been honoring veterans with vehicle donations through the annual Keys to Progress Veteran Vehicle Giveaway Program, giving back to those who gave so much. Now, you probably didn't wake up today saying, I really wish I knew more about Progressive Insurance, but this seemed like the type of thing people wouldn't mind hearing about. Find out more about how we're dedicated to our customers and communities at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
At Epps Decorating Center, we're your locally owned Benjamin Moore retailer. We're your store for quality with brilliant and durable paints in a variety of sheens and thousands of colors. We're your store for service with one-on-one advice for contractors and homeowners. We're your local experts, and we're here to help with all your painting projects. Benjamin Moore, available at Epps Decorating Center with 2 locations in Tallahassee. Find a store near you and visit EppsDecorating.com. That's EppsDecorating.com.
This is Jay of Paul's Termite and Pest Control. There are many companies out there selling pest treatment programs at prices which seem too good to be true. Like most things, you get what you pay for. Let's separate the fact from the fiction. Fiction. The price these companies offer includes all visits needed to keep a home pest-free. Fact. Their prices only include regular visits for exterior treatments. If you encounter pests inside your home, these companies will charge you for additional visits. Is that really pest prevention? At Paul's Termite and Pest Control, we always apply exterior treatments, but our plan includes a significant difference. Whenever you encounter an interior problem, Paul's technicians are there, usually the same day you call, and there is no extra charge. With ProShield, you'll never pay extra for providing the service we promised. Pest prevention for your home, and we'll be there as many times as needed to honor our commitment with no extra charge. Paul's Termite and Pest Control is a local company that proudly served the Tallahassee area for over 50 years.
For the elimination of termites and any other pests,
call Paul's. We'll get them all.
And we make lawns greener, too.
Let's be honest, we all have way too much stuff. Maybe your storage closet is full, your garage is full, or the guest bedroom is a mess. Call Southeast Portable Buildings, 580-6400, or visit them online at southeastportablebuildings.com.
Clean, renewable energy means fresher air, healthier residents, new green jobs, and a stronger, more resilient community. How we get there is up to you. Share your input today to help shape the Tallahassee of tomorrow. Take the Clean Energy Survey at talgov.com.
Live from Florida's capital city, this is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness on Real Talk 93.3. Now, stop what you're doing and listen closely. It's time for the Jeff Cameron Show in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
I don't know, maybe some football as well. I'm Jeff. That is Tom. Driving about town. Be safe. You're listening on 93.3. We appreciate that. You're watching on YouTube TV. We appreciate that. Warchant TV, I should say, on YouTube. How about that? That's the way to do it. Tom, you're too young. You do not remember the great and now late, unfortunately, Louis Tiant, do you?
No. As a player, no. In conversations around the dinner table with my dad and his brothers, we're talking baseball. Sure.
Well, he's a Red Sox Hall of Famer. He's not in the Baseball Hall of Fame. He's in the Red Sox Hall of Fame, where he pitched from 71 to 78 and was really the reason that team hung in there against the Reds, the Big Red Machine in the World Series. And he, this is a guy that played with Cleveland, played with Minnesota, played briefly for the Yankees and the Pittsburgh Pirates, buddy. And in 1981, I was 10, so I do remember vaguely. He's namely known for the crazy, wonderful, unique to him windup, which you've seen on film many times.
I've also emulated playing wiffle ball.
Yeah,
Sure.
He was great. He was great. And he was born in Cuba. And I don't know if you know this, but I brought it to the attention. He passed away yesterday, so we had to mention it. But I don't know if you know this, but it made me smile and made me laugh. Remember all those years you and I had conversations about various players, Albert Pujols being one of them, where people they weren't sure how old he really was.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
And there was a stretch of time there, understandably, that if you came from, say, the Caribbean, or, you came from Cuba or wherever, you didn't say your real age if you were on the upper end of your prime. You didn't tell people how old you really were because you'd fear that you wouldn't get a contract.
I still think LeBron's 5 years older than he claims to be.
But he's from Ohio. We can document. We know.
There are ways. In high school, he looked like he was 24.
But some of the great comments yesterday and today that I was reading about Louis Tiant from others who played against him, competed against him, with him, or of that era. He was apparently a very funny man. He was a character, and he had the big mustache, and he smoked cigars. I mean, big, giant Cuban cigars all the time. Just somebody you wanted to hang around with, just somebody like Jack McKeon or something. Like, I want to hang out with that guy. He's funny. He's got good stories. He's interesting. He was really good. He knew a lot of people. Well, here are some quotes. This one's not funny. This is just cool. We should all be so lucky as to have this said about us. If a man put a gun to my head and said, I'm going to pull the trigger if you lose this game, Red Sox manager Darryl Johnson said, I'd want Louis Tiant to pitch that game. Interesting. Hell of a compliment. By the way.
Who's your guy?
Oh, Paul Skeens. You're not hitting Paul Skeens.
Really?
It's Skeens Day, baby, all day,
man.
every day.
No. You don't know if he can handle that pressure yet.
Buddy, he mowed him down in the All-Star game.
That's not the same thing as somebody's life is on the line. They've got you tied to a chair behind home plate near.
It's about stuff.
Near the backstop.
It's about stuff.
And they're like, hey, Paul, don't lose. This man dies if you do.
I need to know, is he pitching for the Pirates? Because if he's pitching for the Pirates, then I can't pick him because we won't score. So he could pitch 8 shutout innings and I still get shot in the head.
This is why in golf, if you don't choose Tiger, you choose Cabrera. If somebody's life is on the line. I'm pretty sure he's played around a golf where somebody will live or die.
And probably he was the one doing the killing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or he was the one that would have been killed if he didn't play well.
Either way, he's
faced that pressure.
Yes, I think he's in prison right now. Yes, my man is 49 shutouts, by the way, for Tion in his career. 49. That is the most of any pitcher that is not in the Hall of Fame. 49. That's a lot of shutouts, buddy. And they say StatCast would have had a hard time with him because he is said to have thrown upwards of 50 different types of pitches. Thurman Munson, quote, hell, he's got 50 of those. Talking about pitches. He had an array of fastballs, different types of curves, sliders, changeup, palm balls, knuckleballs, splitters, spitters, cutters, jitters, you name it. He had it all. And a cool-ass windup that hid the ball forever. But this quote made me laugh because I thought of you, Tom, because we've done this over the years with Latin ball players, and it's just funny. Satchel Paige was a guy who, for a long time, people said, come on now. We know Satchel was a lot older than what he said he was when he was trying to get into the majors. Quote from Tony Perez, all I know is that Tion was a big-time national hero when I was growing up in Cuba. Now he's 1 year older than me.
Well, Louis Tion pitched until he was 41 years old.
Allegedly.
That means he might have pitched into his, 45, 46th year.
Could have been
45th,
maybe almost 50.
year.
Yeah. Wouldn't that be cool? Yeah.
In the year of the pitcher, 1968, Louis Tion had a 1.60 ERA, which was the low in the American League. We know what the National League was all about. It was about Gibson, which I think he made the chat. And he struck out 264 batters in 258 innings, a K per 9 over 9 in those days.
Yeah.
Where striking out was a point of being laughed at, bullied in your clubhouse. That's unbelievable. He also had an ERA sub 2 years after they lowered the mound because the response to the year of the pitcher was some rules changed to benefit the hitters a little bit. He went again sub 2 about 5 years later.
Brett, that is a great answer, by the way. I agree with you. I would go that route with Bob Gibson. If it wasn't Bob, I might have, in the steroid era, taken Pedro Martinez in 90. Is that 4? What's the year? Is it not? What's the year where he died? 97? 97? Go look that one up. That's insane. How he did that in that era is
97.
Yeah, 97.
A $1.90 ERA in the height of the steroid era, struck out 305 and 241 innings.
Struck out 305 and 240.
He had a whip of 0.93.
Yeah, he was a beast. So that's maybe that particular year for Pedro. That particular year for Bob Gibson's a good one to choose from. Good job, Brett. You're usually solid with the baseball.
2000, the year 2000, Pedro had a 1.74 ERA.
Pedro was awesome, period.
Wait,
for a very long
2000
time.
Pedro was better.
No, that 97 season, but that's all.
Wait a minute. So his whip in 2000 was 0.73?
How many innings pitched?
Hang on. Stand by. 217. Full season.
It's good. It's unbelievably good.
It is.
It's
an 0.73 whip.
Either one of those two years where the steroids were flowing through the veins of all.
I know about 97, and I know that he's had some years that run up to it, but I'm sorry, I never looked at his whip throughout his career, which of course, is usually around 190.
Yeah.
0.73 is dominant closer, 1 inning specialist stuff. That's like Mo Rivera stuff. But you're doing that as a starter over nearly 220 innings? Come on now.
He, like everybody else, ended up with arm troubles in his career, and he had to try to figure out how to get people out when he was, post that injury. He lost 3 seasons off and on, parts of 3 seasons to these injuries, and he did all these different things. That's what emerged was that, wind up at age 31 in 1972. So lowest Red Sox ERA seasons since the dead ball era. Pedro, 2000, Louis Tion in 1972 with a 1.91, and Roger Clemens in 1990 with a 1.93. The badass.
Roger Clemens.
Oh, my God. He's in Georgia's
Goodness
box.
gracious.
Yeah, that's the worst. He won 20 games 3 times for the Red Sox, never got a single first-place Cy Young vote. Pitched in a time when wins tended to decide those things. Tiant fell a win or two short each of those years, unfortunately. But it did not keep him from the big-time cigar and the smile from ear to ear.
I'm going to die maybe because I'm playing favorites, but prime Johan Santana is the one that's pitching for my life. Prime Johan. The man pitched a complete game shutout in game 161 on a torn meniscus. He basically pulled a Tiger in the 08 U.S. Open. Complete game shutout on a torn meniscus.
No, he was great. He was great. You're going to pick Pedro. You are. All right, come on. Get past it. You're going to take Pedro.
Has he thrown on a torn meniscus?
Probably. Pedro's a tough dude.
Well, I don't know.
I'm going with Pedro. And I don't want a guy out there with a torn meniscus trying to keep him from being shot.
Look, Pedro couldn't pitch in Yankee Stadium for years and years at the height of his powers.
Oh, that was
the Yankees are my daddy. That's what he said.
That really wasn't the height of his powers. But he was past his powers there. But he was still good. He was still great. I wish. Yeah, I always wished when you'd see these old guys like this. I back in the day in St. Pete, I would go to Tyrone Square Mall, and anybody that had a spring training locale in Florida within 2 hours of that mall somehow ended up in that mall. I would run into more players in the Tyrone Square, and sometimes I'd see the old timers. So like you'd every now and then, because they'd be in town doing functions and stuff like that around these spring training games. I always wanted to run into Louis Tiant or any players like that, just where you could be like, oh man, there he is. How cool is this? But yeah, there's nothing like being a young sports fan. You can never get it back. It's like when you first love music. You'll never love it the same way again. Like you can still love music, and I have a huge passion for it. But it's not the same as when I discovered, like the Replacements when I was, 15, 14 years old and listening to their first 2 records, or the first time you ever hear, whatever it is, okay? You get so excited, when you first discovered jazz. I remember being blown away. Like, what is this? This is amazing. But that's true of your baseball stuff too. Like when you're a little kid, that sports in general, the way you love those guys, you'll never do that as an adult. It would be weird if you did.
The best memory I have about old timers in sports is I waited tables in the summer. They had a weekly game going. Terry Crisp, cup-winning coach for the Calgary Flames, Tampa Bay's first coach. He retired in Tampa for a while. Now he's with the Nashville team doing their radio. Don Zimmer and Terry Crisp, 2 titans of their sport.
Mm-hmm.
Old-timers, lifers, because Terry played just like Don did. So they're lifers in their sport. And then they had an umpire with them, and then they're rotating fourth. But I would wait on their table. And, man, sometimes you would catch glimpses of them going back and forth about what it was like to be on the road in the 60s and the 70s, and just the stories they had, the Rolodex of information they had.
Oh, yeah.
They told me to come out and play with them a couple of times, but I wouldn't get cut by the chef, so I had to stay. I would have loved it because
can you imagine? Yes, those stories. Well, that's like I've been very fortunate, not once but twice, to sit down and watch spring training games with Jack McKeon, because my buddy Matt Britton was vice president of marketing for the Marlins for years, and I'd go down there and I'd go into the facility in the building. I'd meet everybody in the inner circle. We'd go sit down and watch games. It was incredible. That guy is connected to a bygone era of baseball. When you're having conversations with a guy that knew Jackie Robinson, I mean, like just you're having those kinds of conversations. It'll blow you away. It's Branch Rickey. Like, he told me the story about Branch Rickey, and that he was like, "Oh, I knew Branch really well." I'm like, you knew Branch? What in the world? Did you know Babe Ruth? Guys like that, it's crazy. And they just love talking baseball. They'll sit there and smoke a cigar and have a beer with you watching spring training. You're like, oh, he reminds me of so-and-so. Who was that? A guy I played with in 1952 in the Bronx. What in the world?
It reminds me of Andrew Johnson. What? Yeah, it's a tough job after Lincoln got shot, but I thought he did the best with what he had. You knew Andrew Johnson? Sure. Spoke at my high school.
Jeff, you should take this opportunity to remind the listeners that you've been to the Masters again. Yeah, I should. I did that for a long time. I have been to the Masters. I've been inside the ropes, Butler's cabin. Sat down and talked to Jack. True story. And Barbara. And his grandson the year he hit the hole-in-one.
Well, one of his kids asked him what parking spot he was in.
Yeah, it's weird. I thought I would be intimidated because he's larger than life. I mean, he's a little man, but he's larger than life.
He beat you to the death?
No. No, I'm not worried about that. I'm saying but he's so, this colossal figure in the sports
better get your one iron if you want to, Nicholas.
No, but yeah, he was so nice. He was super nice. Anybody else you want me to talk about, guys? My favorite.
What's Scott Van Pelt like?
Oh, stop. My favorite time is, and this has nothing to do with my job and nothing to do with meeting any of these people. Had a good chance to meet a lot of people. It's been cool. I would tell you that the little kid in Tyrone Square Mall, me going on the escalator, seeing Dave Parker, the Cobra. Buddy, I was like a little girl. I was just like, oh, there he is. It's the Cobra. I was blown away. I was with Chris Sturgeon, and I was like, I gotta talk to him. It was an off day in spring training. He's wearing jeans and a t-shirt, just going through the mall like any other chap. And I'm like, I got to talk to him. And, you never know. And I walked up to him, talked to him, and he was a sweetheart. Signed a napkin for me that I still have, a napkin.
Those are the best autographs, though.
He signed it, Dave Parker, but he did, in quotations, he did it. He wrote the Cobra. And I still have that, which is really cool. I met Ian Asbury when I worked at the Don Cesar, the lead singer of the Cult. He was at the gas station in a huge tour bus getting gas. He stepped out. I'm like, there he is. That's Ian Asbury. I was going to see the Cult the day after I saw him there. They were in town for the show. That was nuts. I sprinted across the street to talk to Ian Asbury of the Cult. It was very cool, and he was nice.
Ian!
It's not a sports hero, but it was a lot of fun. It was very, very cool. I loved it. It was great. So the tenor yesterday when Mike met with the media was a good one. I asked this question. I'll revisit it when we come back. Do you get a good vibe about how all of these changes, and he is clearly going to make a lot of changes in this, in who plays. I mean, that was the tone yesterday, right? He's basically, that was sort of I kind of looked at it as a mea culpa. Yesterday, bye week, admitting that the offense is bad, admitting that the run game is embarrassing, quote unquote, admitting that they're looking at all possible actions to be taken. Personnel, scheme. He said he admitted he has to take a fresh look at the scheme, all of it.
There are opportunities
everywhere, right? Opportunities for everybody. So I'm kind of curious if you have a positive feeling about this moving forward. We'll talk about it in a second. It's Jeff Cameron Show 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
This is Patty Wilson.
Oh, I'm sorry. We're ready.
He's recording.
Why are you always saying your last name?
I
It's
don't-
Patty and Scott. Everybody
I don't
knows
know that.
Patty and Scott.
I don't know. This is Patty Wilson. What this is. I am Patty Wilson.
What is the idea behind said promo?
It's for Patty's Playhouse. We're on Patty's Playhouse Saturdays at 11. Tune in. That's stupid. Just tune in. Saturdays at 11. Patty Wilson, Patty's Playhouse. House talk with a happy ending.
Each and every time.
Pinch a Penny Pools has the largest selection of premium hot springs hot tubs in the city. You might even call it Tallahassee's Hot Tub Hub. 12,000 square feet of hot tubs with over 50 of them on site. Over 20,000 gallons of tub capacity to choose from. That's 4,620,000 cubic inches of hot tubs. But I digress. So why should you own a hot tub from Pinch a Penny Pools and Spas, you might ask? Well, I'll tell you. Number one, health benefits, of course. The healing powers of soaking in a hot bubbling pool of water go back centuries. Google it. Number two, Pinch a Penny has hot tubs with technology called Freshwater IQ. It gives you real-time chemical readings and tells you exactly what to add to keep the water at peak perfection. With automated analysis to help you control the chlorine and pH. It's hot tubs for dummies. Sign me up. Number three, they have the best prices, of course. Plus you get a free accessory and no interest financing. Easy peasy. But if you don't want to take my word for it, check them out yourself. Pinch a Penny Pools and Spas. Locally owned, locally operated, and the easiest way to find relaxation at home.
Honey, I'm home.
We're in here, honey.
So why are all my friends here?
Have a seat, Dave. We need to talk about your problem.
Problem? I don't have a problem.
Dave,
You do have a problem with your grill. Here's some pamphlets from Hearth and Patio. They are waiting for your call to help you upgrade your grill.
If you or someone you know needs a grilling intervention, call Hearth and Patio today at 850-727-4282. That's 850-727-4282 or hearthpatiotallahassee.com.
We're all going through our own fitness journey. We want to get the most out of our time in the gym or with a trainer. We want to eat the right things and do the right things to be in the best shape possible. Why not find out exactly where you're at in that journey by getting a DEXA scan today? It's the most accurate measurement of all body composition methods. It is the gold standard in what is used in clinical diagnosis, the only method that can determine bone density and give a direct measurement of visceral fat. You can do so and save a bunch of money. That's why I'm here, guys. Use Jeff25 as a discount code for 25% off any of the services at DexaFit. It's not just a DEXA scan. They have red light therapy that helps accelerate wound healing, pain relief, muscle recovery, improve circulation, skin health. They'll also give you tips on personalized nutrition with weight management, fitness optimization. These are all things that you want to do to help correct imbalances. Go see our friends at DexaFit and save right now. Use code Jeff25. Discount code Jeff25 for 25% off any services at DexaFit.
I'm Robert, and I'm a general pest technician at Paul's Termite and Pest Control. I have a fantastic job working for an amazing company. Every day, I take great satisfaction in knowing the work I do helps protect the health of the customers I'm honored to serve and their pets too. Many are now my friends. Paul's is a local North Florida-based company, and they are constantly teaching all of us techs about the ever-changing needs of our unique part of the world.
I'm Jay, and having the privilege to work with people like Robert and all of our employees is truly an honor. There is no doubt that the staff of Paul's Termite and Pest Control is the best in our industry. All of our people are local, and local really does mean something. We're North Floridians. Our kids go to school here. We shop here. We build relationships here, and we honor our commitments. To all of our customers, thanks for trusting us to protect your family, pets, and home.
For the elimination of termites, any other pests, and a greener lawn too, call Paul's. We'll get them all.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
We're at the Black Desert Bet Spurts. This is the golf course, Tom, we're going to be seeing this weekend is in Utah.
The Black Desert in Utah? Interesting.
It's they don't have many events like ever, but this is where they're going, and I'm kind of excited about it. After the big Kevin Yu Bo Hostler playoff at the Sanderson Farms last week,
they'll be talking about that for years.
So now here we go. We're in Utah, and it is what is it? What is the name of that course? Do I have that right? It's the Black Desert. I did have it right. First PGA Tour event in Utah, Tom, in more than 60 years. Sounds like one I should win, meaning gambling. I'll give you a little piece of advice. I already threw some pizza money on it early. Patrick Fishburne's from Utah.
Oh, jeez.
Has played well there. You can get him at 35-1 on FanDuel.
Patrick Fishburne?
Utah resident. Horses for courses, buddy.
Maybe to make the cut.
I got Fishburne in my top 20. Got him in my top 10, too. I might sprinkle some pizza money on Fishburne to win it all. Probably not. I don't think he can win. But I think he can make the cut. Just letting you know, we've got games to wager on, everybody. We don't take a break in the offseason when it's not, By the way, it's 1-0 Tigers in the second inning, and that series, of course, is tied at 1, just as every series was, by the way. First time ever that was the case. At 5:08, you won't have to wait long.
Yeah.
Phillies, Mets, Suarez, and that creep can roll Quintana.
I'm hoping that Suarez is the guy he was in the second half because he gave up an ops over 860. An ops of over 860 in the second half. Before that, untouchable. So we'll see who we get.
Would you rather score a touchdown in a football game, NFL, college, whatever it might be, hit a home run in a playoff game, or hit a game-winning 3 in an NBA or college basketball game?
Oh, man. Is the home run a walk-off?
Yeah, every one of these is a game-winning
It's a game
touchdown, game-winning 3, game-winning home run.
How about an overtime goal in hockey? Do I get that too?
Ooh, you can throw that on the list. In the playoffs. It can't be just a
playoffs.
regular season game.
Even though hockey is, everybody knows it's my lane, I think the walk-off home run
That's the answer, Tom.
is the one.
It's the answer.
Because you get time.
Oh, you got time, and there's something about a walk-off home run that has captured the imagination forever.
And even if it's a no-doubter, there still is a vacuum effect inside the building. I've seen one. I've seen a Game 7 walk-off home run in my life. It was Aaron Boone's in the 11th inning against the Red Sox.
Terrible.
And it was Wakefield's first pitch of the inning, I think.
Yeah.
So people weren't even settled. But everybody is stunned and hoping. Their eyes are telling them that the ball is going to leave the ballpark, and yet there is a silence that happens.
Yeah, it's anticipatory.
Before it clears. So it's like there's a vacuum effect and then an eruption. And it is just the coolest damn thing in the world because you get to appreciate it. So many of these things, like an overtime goal in hockey, a lot of the times it hits somebody's shin pad, and they have no idea if they were the one that gets credit for the goal or not. But it's an instantaneous thing. It's that ability to enjoy it. Like when you hit a great shot on the course. There's about a 3-second window where you can just watch and admire. And in baseball, the guys do these days.
I still think, this never takes any time for me at all. Anytime I've been in these kinds of conversations, it's always been I'd walk off. One that, a no-doubter. I don't want a wall scraper. I want a pissed on 450, get you some. There's no doubt this thing is gone.
You want a Jose Bautista instead of a Juan Gonzalez?
Yeah, I want, No, Kev, Jeff and crew talked about heartbreaking moments in sports yesterday. I watch a lot of sports, lots of moments, but the 0-1 World Series Game 7, Gonzalez's stupid blooper to left broke me as a 12-year-old kid. That's funny. I was buoyed by that hit. I was like, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I remember talking to my dad about that.
Well, it seemed implausible, right? I mean,
and it's just after 9/11. I said, "Hey, Dad, I'm rooting against the Yankees."
Yeah,
and
yes, you are.
You should. I'm glad you said it. Not enough people are saying it. Root against the Yankees.
Brett is old as hell. I love it. Good job, buddy. Bill Mazeroski, 1960. I was listening on the radio. Hated the Yankees. Loved the home run. It is still an amazing moment. You know that Bill Mazeroski's son, who's also old, is he comes over to Florida State and watches games, baseball all the time. I think he scouts, maybe. He was here this last week. Mazeroski's son was here.
That's cool.
It is really cool. I'd love to go over and just sit down and talk with him at one point. Just like, that's royalty. Bill Mazeroski is. I mean, that's got to be crazy. That's the other thing I always wondered about. If you were, and I'll get back to Florida State here in a second. What if you were that guy? Like Derek Jeter walking around New York City, can he?
No.
He can't do it, can he?
You might get a block because people are so in their own worlds in the city.
Yeah, and then somebody be like, oh, wait, that's Derek Jeter.
But once like 3 people stop, you're screwed. You're mobbed. There's no chance.
Yeah. There's
But you could go like lower Manhattan. Actually, he could probably walk around longer than that. You've seen it. It's not that busy. Like if it's not during Wall Street times.
Right.
It's kind of a ghost town down there in lower.
I mean, maybe. Derek is a hero in New York. I mean, especially.
Oh, sure.
York. So I don't know. Maybe he would be recognized pretty quick. I will say, though, people, though, in huge cities like New York City or Los Angeles, they run into people. Like on the subway, you'll run into an
Gilbert
actor.
Gottfried.
Well, I walked right into Christopher from The Sopranos when I was
Imperioli.
visiting you. Yeah, Imperioli was just walking around Central Park.
Hey, Jeff, how you doing?
He's tiny.
Yes. Yeah.
I was shocked.
So is Gottfried. I saw Gottfried get trucked by a guy because he stopped in the sidewalk. I don't know what he's doing. And he turned around. He's like, and he made that noise. It was awesome.
Oh, man, the Jim Liritz homer. I forgot about that one. That was awesome. I remember that. Golly, so many of those wonderful memories just to walk around. Noel Kev, I want to go to New York and watch a Yankees game before I die. Bucket list. Go do it. Go do it. It's pretty easy to do. I'm not even talking about money. I'm just talking about I mean, come on. They play 81 home games. Go do it.
Just
check it off your list. Go do it.
Don't go there thinking you're going to be wowed by the stadium.
Yeah.
Just the experience will be fun, but stadium's whatever.
The new stadium's just like the old stadium. It's the same design. Everything's the same, pretty much.
City's a better stadium, but you got to go on a 45-minute train.
It's out in the middle of
nowhere.
effing nowhere, Noel Kev. Don't bother to go see Tom's Mets play. It's out in the middle of the wilderness. There's nothing.
Unless you want to see him hang a banner next April, you know? Come on. You got to have some kind of optimism.
Yeah, I would strongly advise going. I strongly advise going to as many baseball stadiums as possible. That's not the same as the NFL. Like baseball, there's something to the lore of these stadiums, even the newer ones, because they've made them so everybody copied Camden. So Camden Yards gets built in Baltimore, and then everybody realizes, oh, yeah, that's right. These things used to be charming and close to the action, and like we should have all been doing this all along, like they do in Chicago with Wrigley because it's 1,000 years old. Like, yeah. And then PNC was built, which is it for my mind. And again, I'm a Pirates fan, but honestly, it's an incredible, incredible ballpark. But I'm so glad that the owners ended up being copycats and everybody just built new stadiums that felt like old stadiums because you're right there on top of the action. It's the best. The only sport that I think maybe tops baseball in terms of being in person, being that close to the players, your ability to access players, the only sport that does that is the PGA Tour. And you can stand, Tom and I have done this. I've stood right next to Tiger Woods as he's teeing off.
Yeah.
Quite literally like 5 yards away from Tiger Woods while he's teeing off.
The precursor to his Masters win, he took the lead on a Saturday in Tampa at the Pods, I think it was at the time. It's now the Valspar. But he hardly ever plays Innisbrook. I think he might have once in the 90s, and then he never played it again. But on the comeback tour, he was playing non-traditional places because he felt his game sharpening.
Mm-hmm.
And he took the lead that day on a Saturday. I remember he was wearing a pink shirt. And on 9, 10, 11, he made a little run, and he ends up chipping in on one of the holes from the back fringe. And then he makes a birdie putt from about 15 feet, which is where I was standing. And then he walks by me to get to the par 5 on the next hole. But that is a walkway that not a lot of people go to on the course.
Yeah.
Like for Tiger, it's a tidal wave that precedes him.
Always.
Precedes him by about a half an hour. So you have to go.
You got to get out in front 2 holes.
Yeah,
usually.
basically an hour ahead of where he's playing is where you can get in a good spot. And yet, in that moment, I still have the video. I mean, from me to, not you, you're too far away.
Yeah.
From me to where the camera is.
Right there.
He walks right by, and I remember the smile on his face because he felt the juice of I'm in the lead again for the first time. It was a really cool moment because you could see
he captured it.
He's like, I'm in front.
I got to give Brooks Koepka credit. I was down at Doral watching him play, and he was way off the lead. It was on a Saturday. He made the cut barely, and I think he was 10 strokes back. So it's one of those things where he knows I'm not winning this tournament. And not a lot of people were following him. He wasn't super famous yet. He hadn't even won a major yet. So he's just Brooks Koepka. You know, it's regular old Brooks Koepka. Prodigious driver of the golf ball, good-looking guy, so people knew him, but he hadn't become who he is. And Matt Britton and I, aforementioned, we were following him. We yelled, "Go Noles," and he smiled and gave us a shot back. But what he didn't know was that we stayed back, kind of followed him for 3 holes. He walked over with nobody around to see it at all and gave 2 balls to 2 little kids that were standing there and patted him on the head. And one of the little kids was like, "Thanks, man." He's like, "Sure thing." It was pretty cool. And I remember calling Trey Jones, of course, golf coach at Florida State, and saying, "Hey, be proud of your boy. He's out here handing out golf balls to these kids with nobody watching. Like he wasn't earning any credit for that. He just did it."
That's cool. At Whistling for the Ryder Cup, he and Daniel Berger were paired together 2 days. I think they started the event on Friday. I know that, it went viral. Actually, our friend Joey was the one that had the video.
The ESPN, right?
Yeah. So he had the video, and ESPN used his video on SportsCenter.
Yeah.
Because the Ryder Cup is a big damn deal. And they're on 5 or 6. Again, Whistling is actually one of the worst places you can go to be a spectator.
Break your ankle.
Break your ankles. And there's not it's so duny that they have a lot of places you can't walk. So I shouted at the 2 of them that Trey Jones says hello. And they didn't see where the shout came from, and they stopped, and they both turned around. They're like, "Did you hear that?"
Yeah.
Trey?
That's pretty cool.
They kept on walking. Yeah. On their way to a victory.
On their way, they just kept walking in victory. That's what they did. I do have a bit of a positive feeling about Mike loosening up and saying that he's willing to make changes both to scheme and personnel. I do think that Florida State could ride the momentum of Brock Glenn's positive energy and positive play from this last game. I don't think they're good enough to win a significant game, say, against Miami on the road or Notre Dame on the road. But might you get to a level of moderate respectability? Maybe that's the wrong word. But could you get to 5-7? Could you have a 5-7 campaign? Could you win?
Well, is it too dramatic to speculate that this is the beginning of Norvell 2.0? The second part of his era at Florida State. I mean, because
it's going to be the last revamping.
Of course. No, it needs, or else it's Norvell Pink Slip 0.0. But, I mean, if he's willing to make philosophical changes, because he didn't just hint at, like, we're going to put new players in.
No.
He was talking about schematically, we're looking
talking
at
about
changes.
Changing
Wholesale,
the way we do things.
Wholesale changes. So that tells me that whether it's by the genesis of his own mind or meetings he's had or whatever, he's willing to reevaluate things from the ground up. And it might just be for the season to get by in the next 6 games, but does it signal a greater change that's coming?
It has to.
And
How
might
could
you
it not?
a year from now say, well, it all started in that bye week? Remember when Mike Norvell said that they wanted the running game's been awful and they're willing to reevaluate and make changes? Perhaps this is the beginning of what we're going to see over the next year or two, because we know you can't move on from each other right now. So what comes next?
Well, what needs to come next is a 3-2 record over the next 5 before you host Florida, with an opportunity to finish the backside of your schedule at 4-2 over the last 6. And it's perfectly doable, because you can go on the road and beat a Duke team that plays very good defense, not a very good offense. If your defense is going to play hard, and they did play hard against Clemson, they're not great. They're not good, but they played hard. If you play hard against Duke, they're not equipped the way that Clemson is to gash you. So, yeah, you could maybe slow that down and win a close game, 24-21 type game, something like that. With Brock, that's actually possible, I think, to get into the 20s again. It could happen. It could happen. You then play Miami. Unlikely win down there. Certainly, we've struggled. But, hey, Cal nearly knocked off Miami. We just got done beating Cal not long ago. Who knows? Crazier things have happened, buddy. But I don't predict it to happen. But then you host North Carolina after that. So if you win 2 of your next 3, okay, again, you're a bad team. At that point, you'd be what, 3-5 or whatever the hell you'd be, or 3-6.
3-6. Yeah.
So that's not good. But if you win 2 out of 3 before you go up to Notre Dame, I'm not so sure I'm ready to concede Notre Dame. I don't love it. It's probably a problem. You're likely to lose. Got it. You could make that interesting into the second half, but you're going to beat Charleston Southern. There's another win. Then you'd be hosting Florida. The backside could be a above 500 record, which means you're not dead in the water going into the offseason. You got a lot of uphill climbing to do, but
it requires him to follow through on that change. There were times when Jimbo would say, like, well, we gotta look at this. We gotta, we're gonna make some changes there, or that you can bank on it. That's not gonna happen again. And then you'd see the same thing. He has to follow through. It's funny, you're not willing to concede Notre Dame. I'm more willing to concede that particular matchup than I am Miami. And it's because Miami likes to make things hard on itself.
Well, yeah, they've tried to lose each of the last 2 games.
So, I mean, I understand it's a rivalry and they'll be motivated, but I'm sure they were motivated to play Virginia Tech at home on a Friday night.
Yeah, I don't know if they were or not, but yeah.
At home? The Cal game,
Friday night game, there's but there wasn't a lot of people there.
The Cal 10:30 spot, I'll grant you, but come on now.
Maybe.
Well, the people were in the building that night. The front runners were there because it was a Friday, not a Saturday. That's probably why. But that's Miami's MO. Until it isn't, that Miami's going to make it difficult on itself. The whole thing, the house of cards that we're building in our mind here, the hope we're feeding ourselves,
is that radical changes are coming to the roster, to the lineup.
And so therefore, you're not just going to run into a brick wall. And by that, I mean the offensive line that can't block, 2 times out of every 3 plays.
My biggest fear, though, is that group, because I think you can make changes to personnel that are positive at wide receiver, at tight end, which you've already shown. You did it at quarterback, most importantly, and that was a positive change. So these young players at various positions actually have some ability that you think, okay, the more they play, the better they'll get. But where does that not hold true? My fear is that does not hold true on the offensive line. I mean, I don't see where those kids are going to come in and be appreciably better than the offensive line starting now, which is a disaster.
No, it's true. But I would say that a lot of the offensive players have to have hope in Brock, skill players. They have to be. Their engagement level has to have spiked after that game, saying, "Oh, I might get the ball."
Yeah, kid might get it out. Yeah, gets it out of his hand with authority. Yeah,
right. I might get the ball. That's very different than, well, if the play is off schedule, we're taking a sack.
Oh, a lengthy one, because he's going to meander for.
Right. And unless I'm Ja'Kai over the middle, the ball's not coming my way. But now, if I'm Malik Benson in that situation, or I'm Away McCoy, or whoever they want to rotate in there, because that's the other thing. Mike challenged the receivers. I think Kentron has responded to the challenge. I think he has.
I dropped the one.
Well,
it was a hold anyhow, but
Darion has not, sadly. He had a good finish to camp.
There's no point in starting either one of those two individuals. I'm not trying to be an ass. What are we doing? Kentron Portier is not your future. He can play in the rotation some, but don't worry about him. And Darion should never see the field again.
The guy I'm close to is saying, let's move, is Malik. Because there's been times where the body language looks ridiculous. And I get it. I'd be frustrated too if DJ was not distributing
but
the ball.
But now's not the time. You just got a guy.
If you're turning down blocks, still, I'm sitting your ass. I'm done.
I think they will, though.
I'm done.
I think they will. He did turn down blocks. It was called out. I think he will.
Yeah, he was replaced by Luane McCoy on the third down.
That is correct.
No, I don't think Luane ran the right route, but that's okay.
Hey, we said about this. Learn from your mistakes. I'll live with it. Do it at full speed. Knock somebody's block off while you're screwing up. That's okay. We'll live with it.
And it seems to be that Brock is prioritizing Hakeem in a way that we've all yearned for Hakeem to be prioritized.
I know. I said the same thing. I was like, we're going to have Hakeem in the mix now. That's nice to see. 4 tickets to the Bucs game against the Ravens, by the way. That's a Monday Night Football game against the Ravens on October the 21st. Weather should be nice. We hope. Knock on wood. If you want to register to win those 4 tickets to the Monday Night Football game against the Ravens, where our Bucs will get the big win for the nation to watch, and you can see in person, all you got to do is go to Hello Credit Union on Capitol Circle and Connor Boulevard, right there near Tom Brown Park, if you're wondering. Submit your name in the contest box. Okay, so go in there, go to that bank, boom, drop it a do. Last day to enter is this Saturday, the 12th, before the bank closes. The winner gets picked up on Monday, the 14th. So this week.
Sir, this is a credit union, okay?
Oh, what did I? Yeah, sorry.
We've got souls.
Go into that credit union and drop off your name in the box. You'll see the contest. There it is. It's your chance. 4 tickets in a hotel room and going to the game.
That's nice.
Just doing some things. I'm going to take the boys down to a Bucs game this year.
Which one?
It's later in the year. I think the Raiders.
Oh, that's a good one.
It is a good one, man. When you're a kid going to a game, I know we got a break. I always wanted to see the iconic helmets. There's so many of them in the NFL. Green Bay, Oakland. I mean, I'm talking about, their origins. Dallas, Pittsburgh, all great helmets, always iconic. You think of those helmets when you think of the NFL. At least I did growing up. So when my dad would we had season tickets to the Bucs games, but anytime the Bears, the Packers, the Steelers, the Cowboys, the Raiders, anybody like that came to town, I was like, oh, look at their helmets. It just felt larger than life. It was amazing.
As long as you don't sit in the end zone.
Oh, buddy, you learn all about the real world in the end zone, Tom.
That was the Green Bay game where I saw unspeakable things.
I know. People are rode hard, put up wet in the end zone. They got tough lives, Tom. They smoke 2 packs a day. They're going to be back on that construction site come Monday, and they know it. They're not happy about it. Their skin is leather. They're going to start drinking at 8 a.m. They're going to hit the whore bus outside of Ray J. You know how it's going to go.
No, there are some things that perhaps victims in organized religion have seen that weren't as bad as what I saw in the end zone at Houlihan Stadium when I was about 9-10 years old.
Houlihan Stadium.
Actually, it might have been Ray J just when it opened. But
I used to go to the Big Sombrero, the old Tampa Stadium, and watch Rowdy's games and Bucs games back in the day. I remember being an idiot and throwing a brick off the top over the side.
What?
No, not at anybody. I just wanted I wanted to see it smash on the cement. And I was a kid. I was a little kid. And I saw this brick sitting in the corner. Now, first of all, you can't leave bricks around at stadiums. It's not a good idea, just in general. I know that now. But I picked it up, and I was with my brother John. I was like, let's watch this thing smash. And I tipped it and I let it go over. And we were looking over the edge.
It was teetering, and then DJ threw a pass, and it knocked it over the edge.
Chipping bricks. And so it goes, and it's falling rapidly. And in like slow motion, I realize how profoundly stupid that was that I did that, as a person in my peripheral vision starts to walk out from underneath the overhang as the brick is flying. And I'm thinking, I'm going to kill somebody. And luckily it missed him by about a good 5 yards. It wasn't as close as it seemed, but that poor person was startled. Maybe probably telling this story somewhere right now that I don't know about in a far off land, because I sprinted away once I realized it didn't hit him, because I figured they'd call the cops. Rightfully so. I should have been escorted out. I was a little kid. I was little. Poor judgment. Wow. How about that? What if that had hit? Yeah, I know. 5 yards to the right, that's a dead man. And my life would have been changed forever.
Yeah, a little therapy action.
No,
For you. After juvie?
You think? Yeah. Oh, it's the Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Your local news now.
Weeks after Donald Adelson's trial was unexpectedly upended, a judge has now ordered the 74-year-old to find a new defense team. While the defendant retains a presumptive right under the Sixth Amendment to her counsel of choice, the right is not absolute, Circuit Judge Stephen Everett wrote. Exactly 3 weeks ago, the Miami woman was prepared for her day in court. Adelson pleaded not guilty after being accused of plotting and paying for the 2014 murder of her former son-in-law, Dan Markle. It's a case that has captivated and shocked the Tallahassee area for a decade and consumed the lives of many members of the Markle and Adelson families. But Adelson's trial was delayed indefinitely the same day it was supposed to begin. Her lead defense attorney, Daniel Rashbaum, withdrew from the case over a conflict of interest. This week, Judge Everett benched Rashbaum's replacement, meaning Donna Adelson must find a new defense team. This is Rachel Lene with Real Talk 93.3 Local News Update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at MacklemoreSystems.com.
Now, here's your Paul's Termite and Pest Control Tallahassee weather report.
Cooler and drier air ahead for the end of the week. Highs in the upper 70s to lower 80s with lows in the 50s and 60s. And we are staying that way through the weekend. Tonight, partly cloudy, low of 66. Thursday, mostly sunny and breezy with a high of 80, low of 58. Friday, sunny with a high of 78. Saturday, more sunshine, high of 79. From Real Talk 93.3, this is Danielle Kelly.
For the elimination of termites, pests, and for a greener lawn too, call Paul's. They'll get them all.
Time to head out on our annual guys fishing trip. Wait, where's Jimmy?
He just texted me saying he has to swing by his storage unit to get a couple of things. And now there's a truck blocking him in, and he won't be here for another hour.
That wouldn't have happened if he had just called Southeast Portable Buildings and got a unit right on his property.
I love mine. I have so much more space in my garage. Now I can finally park my truck in there.
Give them a call today, 850-580-6400. That's 850-580-6400. Or visit them online for all their options at southeastportablebuildings.com.
Chocolate reward. Sweet chocolate reward.
This is not just the sound of someone picking up a sweet treat at Walgreens. This is the sound of someone picking up a sweet treat right after receiving all their vaccines in one trip. This is the sound of treating yourself because you protected yourself.
Stop by or schedule both your flu and COVID-19 vaccines today and grab yourself a sweet treat while you're at it. Vaccine subject to availability. State, age, and health-related restrictions may apply.
Getting quality employees to fill positions in your company is essential, but finding those people can be a major hassle unless you use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes finding quality people a breeze. ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies candidates with the right skills, sends you great matches, then you can easily invite them to apply. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. See for yourself. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/free to try ZipRecruiter for free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
Rolling on, wrapping up. This is going to be fun for tomorrow, Redemption Thursday. We'll have the wagers for you. Tom and I are going to probably get together in the morning and record that. We both are going to be busy with some things off the field, as they say, as we try to figure out what our family's doing and some things around here that we have to do. So tomorrow's show will be fresh content and wagers and picks and all that, but we'll probably do it prior to the 1 o'clock start time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I feel like we're rolling now. I feel like we're in the good spot with these picks. Got a good handle on the NFL right now. Starting to come around there. I ended up
27-23 on the season. That's where you are right now.
4 games above 500 currently. Let's keep it going. We're on a good – hey, the NFL prop stuff is coming around for me too. Starting to feel good about that. Matt C., my first Knicks game living in New York City, 1999, flagged Ward down during shoot-around, and he signed my FSU hat. He even remembered that I worked where he dined out a lot in Tallahassee. How awesome is that? Could you explain the NCAA doing away with the national letter of intent? That's from Ian. Yeah, Tom, didn't you already do this?
Yes. So
it's going to be replaced with what?
The NLI, I don't know that there's an answer on the specific document that will be signed moving forward, but it's going to be some sort of financial aid document or a document that could be tied to the revenue that players will be getting now from the universities itself. It should also be noted too, this is an area where On3 does a pretty good job. Dellinger for Yahoo, but then On3 as well. There are a handful of states that already have legislation in place. California, Georgia are 2 of them, where a university can just pay a player directly right here, right now.
Yeah.
And the law says that they can do it. And the law says that the universities are free from, they're beyond reproach, that the NCAA can't do anything about it from an enforcement standpoint. So that's what it's going to look like with the settlement, the congressional settlement moving forward, is that the university themselves, Florida State will say, we have signed, so-and-so, if this settlement goes through, but the settlement's going to take some time.
It prohibits recruiting players by other schools once the aid agreements are signed, so nobody can recruit that player, by the way, moving forward. Also, it eliminates, well, not only does it eliminate the NLI, that settlement, that speaks to this settlement that where you're going to get $3 billion going to former athletes, and schools are going to be able to start to do this now. This is where this is headed.
Where it needs to go, and I don't think it goes, at least from what I've read, is that if you sign that agreement, you're under contract with the university and you can't transfer. You know what I mean? Like, it has to go to that place, or there's a restriction on how quickly you can transfer. We're so concerned about immediate transfers right now. I'm sorry. You have to go back to some sort of penalty or signing an agreement with a university, and then if you decide to leave, that's something, there's a penalty.
Also, can we do away with 2 transfer windows? We don't need 2 transfer windows.
Yeah,
Stop doing that. Right now, they can go from December 9th through the 28th or April 16th through the 25th. Just make it April and
Merry
be done
Christmas
with it.
to me and the news desk at Warchant.
Yeah,
a lot of people who are on call.
Get rid of that one. Get rid of that one. Also, it encourages knee-jerk reactions to bitter disappointment. Stop doing that. You have a bad bowl game, have a bad game period. Oh, I want out. I'm a crybaby. All right, good work out of you. Good work, everybody. Be well.
Wake up Warchant at 6 o'clock.
Wake up Warchant tonight at 6 o'clock. The boys keeping you entertained. Will be good stuff, I'm sure. And we'll be back with you tomorrow as always. Until then, peace.